What's up, Six Borough Podcast fans? How the fuck is everybody? Hope you guys are having a fantastic day, month, week, year, whatever you got going on. Hope it's awesome. Guys, let's get into these ads first, and then we can get right into this episode. Guys, we are brought to you by Municipal Land Survey. You can reach them at 631-345-2658. Again, that's 631-345-2658. Municipal Land Survey. Hit them up for all your land surveying needs. You've listened to us. You know what the deal is. Buying a house, getting your property taxes done, all that kind of good stuff. Anything that's going to require a survey of your property, these are the guys to see. We are also brought to you by Mr. Eric Ott over at RCG Mortgage. If you're a first-time home buyer looking to refinance your home, shoot Eric a call or a text. 631-774-1783. He gets you pre-qualified, answer any questions that you guys might have, get you set up and moving right along. Again, that's 631-774-1783. And last but not least, we are brought to you by AS Engineering Services. They are a full-scale architectural and design firm. They will do anything that you're looking to do. New property, old property, rebuilds, residential, commercial, these guys do it all. You could reach them at 631-560-0259 or online at www.asengineeringservices.com. Again, their phone number is 631-560-0259. Guys, on the podcast this week, we have Mike Morello, aka Spain. I know I said his real name. No one's even going to know who that is. Spain is a former professional soccer player, which is pretty fucking dope in itself, and currently a teacher over with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I'm sure you guys know, where he is, what he's doing. Guys, this was an awesome episode. We touched on a treasure trove of different topics, had some laughs, some education. Give it a listen, guys. Hope you enjoy it. Alright, guys, we're live. Let's get into it.
Six Borough Podcast. D-Rock.
Yarbs.
Our guest.
Mike.
Fuck Mike. Spain.
AKA Spain.
Yeah.
Spain. Anybody who does jiu-jitsu knows you by Spain, so
That's true.
that's what you'll be referred to as.
That is true. I gotta say, guys, this is a really nice setup, man.
Thanks,
Really
man.
Thank you.
nice, dude.
It's coming along.
Yeah, we're getting there. I'll repeat myself. I said this before we started. Podcast is all grown up. We moved out of mom's house and we got ourselves our own place.
Well, how long have you guys been here now?
Couple months.
Yeah, like 5 months. Yeah.
I think longer than that, actually. I think it's been like 6 or 7.
Yeah, maybe.
So we were here over the summer.
No.
Yeah.
Yes.
No.
Yes, we
Yeah?
were.
We were here during the summer.
No? Shut up.
We were here
Yeah, 'cause
since May at least.
FJ fought on one of the June cards, and we did like a little preview fight about that, and I remember we recorded it outside.
Yeah, I remember that because the smell. We didn't want to
Yeah.
die from the
So we've been here for more than that. I'd say, if that was June,
really?
about 8,
How
9
fucking
months
long?
already.
Been here before May,
Shit.
because I got my truck in May, and I was bringing shit here in my truck.
That's right. I
Oh,
remember
wow.
that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe closer to a year.
So whose idea was this? Because it started in your kitchen, right?
Yeah, so the idea, which, fuck you, Spain, I know what you're doing right now. This guy before we got started was like, yeah, as long as I don't talk about myself all that much. So don't think like your jiu-jitsu's real good, but you ain't fooling me right now, motherfucker. But I will give you the background because I'm a gentleman.
You're a good person. You're a good person.
I have my moments.
He's an okay person.
Depends on who you ask. You know this, man. Spain, we've been friends for how long? Since 2010, probably, when I first started training at Vamos. So, we've been big into the podcast. I was always big on Rogan. And when I started cross-training over at Long Island MMA, Eric Ott and I used to carpool. And we'd talk shit, and I kind of turned him on to the Rogan podcast a little bit. And we'd always end up discussing one of the episodes. And then he was like, we should start a podcast. I'm like, man, I've been talking about it for a while, and you were one of the guys we talked about it with. But, for one reason or another, it just never materialized. So we would talk about this like twice a week on the way there. And I'm like, well, what would our podcast be about? So, through me and Eric, we realized we have a large group of friends that knows a lot of people.
That's true.
So we'll make it about all the people on Long Island, being movers and shakers. And then that was pretty much it. Then we went and got a mic, and I told Yarbrough, and he was like, I'm in. I want to be part of it. And I was like, fucking A, right on.
I'm the doer. So they had the idea. They talked about it. I was like, yeah, I'm fucking in on that. And then we had a snowstorm, and I'm like, yo, let's fucking start the first podcast.
Yeah, hell yeah.
And it's all history from there, man.
It's funny, man. It's a great idea because how many conversations we've had over lunch after training, and you would think if we just had a recorder here. You know, there's so many cool topics that we get into, whether it's just fighting.
Yeah, one of them is you.
Trying to steer the shit away.
Yeah, I know.
Spain,
so
keep that mic right up to your face.
Oh, sorry, you can't hear it?
Yeah, no, you good, but when you turn your head like that, it fades away.
So tell everybody why your name is Spain.
Well, I think the main reason was because at jiu-jitsu, there's just so many people with the same name. So there's so many Mikes. And then, obviously, I'm from Spain. So that just kind of just went in naturally. But yeah, man, especially in the beginning, I had I think it was called Triangle Mike. And then after a while, it changed into Spain. I think because there were so many Mikes at the school.
I don't remember Triangle Mike, so that must have been before
that was
I got
way
there.
before you. When you came, with blue belts, both of us.
Yeah.
We were both blue belts, man. I still remember our first roll, dude.
Me too. Because I remember signing up there. I think I'd done 1 or 2 classes, maybe even more actually. And Andre, what the fuck is that?
We can curse on this thing? We can curse?
Yeah, as much as you want.
Shit.
Yeah, just throw it down. Just fuck, shit, cunt, bitch.
Shit, man.
Get it all out.
This is our shit. We can do whatever we want.
All right, a couple more beers, dude.
Yeah.
Nice.
Andre had told me about you. He's like, dude, I rolled this guy Spain. They call him Spain. He's like, everybody told me how good he was. Like, I rolled him. The guy was phenomenal. So I'd already knew you were real good.
That was
and
nice,
so we rolled, and you smashed me, and but we clicked right away. That first roll was like, I was like, all right, this guy's a good dude, and we've been boys ever since.
Ever since, dude. I think we stayed after school for like 2 hours just talking about just bullshitting about everything.
Oh yeah. I mean, that was pretty much our norm.
Yeah.
Back at the old school, we would train, we'd sit around, we'd bullshit, and then another class would start. We'd go into the cage when the cage was there, and we'd just roll in the cage for another 2 hours.
That's right, man.
We had a good crew back then doing that. It was like me, you, Chris. I think Scientist used to train a lot.
Scientist, remember that? Oh my god, man! I haven't heard that name in a long time. Man, when that was he's doing?
Yeah, I don't know.
Holy shit, Scientist! That's right.
I think so. He got hurt. Something happened with his eye, and then he never came back. But
yeah, because I remember he got his purple belt, and then that was it. That was the last time I saw him.
But yeah, I mean, so when I got there, you were Spain, not Triangle Mike, and yeah, we were blue belts. I think it was. I started in 2010 at Vamos.
Oh, okay.
I trained for a couple years prior at another school, and I came to Vamos in 2010.
Well, you were Red Boy, right?
Yeah.
For a while, right?
Well, started Kyoto, became Red Boy. Then little Eric opened up his school called Airborne.
That's right.
And then that fizzled out.
That's
and
right.
I ended up at Vamos. How'd you end up at Vamos?
Oh man, it's actually a pretty interesting story. I was overseas.
It fucking better be. That's why you're here.
All right, as long as you're keeping that too much, all right, man. But I was actually overseas playing soccer. I was in Spain, and I actually just I was trying to find a team out there, and the finances weren't right, so I came home for a vacation. And I'm driving around Holbrook, and I'm driving on Grundy, and I see Chris Vamos painting in this one little building.
Doing his Mr. Miyagi?
Store. Yeah, pretty much, dude. And nothing, man. Me, Chris and Alex, I've been friends with them for a long time. They Kung Fu back in the day, and I knew Alex from high school too, and Chris. And I just walked in, man, and I just offered to help. We painted the school, and then he's like, "Why don't you come train?" And I came the next morning, dude, and that was my initiation into jiu-jitsu, man. I fell in love with it right away, to the point, man, where I was still getting offered contracts to play soccer, and I said no.
Wow.
Yeah, I said no. Just jiu-jitsu just lit a fire in me. I can't explain. You know, like certain things when they touch you certain ways, it's hard to say no to. You know,
Yeah,
I almost
Like
feel
when, like when your uncle touches you.
yeah. We weren't gonna talk about that. Dude.
He signed the waiver. He's not allowed to
That's
talk
to say,
about that.
bro. But yeah, man, that was the initiation of my journey. You know, and I'm glad I did, man, because ever since then it's like a bug. You know, if anybody starts training, I know your bro, we're trying to get you in the gym.
I'll be there soon enough.
I was about to say, man, you'll feel it once you get that first. It's funny, man, because you walk in and you get your ass kicked for fucking years. You know, and then you stick with it, and then little things start to click, and then before you know it, you know, you become a student of the game, and then you realize how big the game is.
Most people
You
get
know?
their ass kicked for a long time. Spain, on the other hand,
Right, bro.
you could cut that time in half for Spain.
Just being nice.
No, listen. There's being nice, and then there's telling it like it is. You're one of the best guys I've ever trained with, man, hands down. And there's not one person down there who would disagree with me. Matter of fact, we got two guys in this room hanging out right now who, if I turn around and ask them just by a simple head nod, do you agree? Is Spain not one of the best guys you've ever trained with? That's two head nods in the yes direction.
Well, I appreciate that, man. Good, thank you, guys.
You know what? So, you were a professional athlete prior to jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
And actually, you know what? It's crazy. In all the years, in all those conversations about it, I don't think I've ever asked you about this, and I don't know how. But how much did that factor into things? Because dude, there was a time where I remember, I was always a night guy. I worked during the day. I would show up at night, and you'd be like, oh, yeah, I trained this morning.
Yeah.
You were doing 2-a-days
Yeah.
for a solid 3.5, 4 years probably.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, like, you had that professional athlete mentality
like
already.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so you knew how to train. You knew what it took. And obviously you have your professional soccer player. You have athletic ability.
Yeah.
So I don't mean this to diminish how good you are. I mean it in like how much did it enhance it? Because you're not just athletic. You're very technical. And actually, it's one of the more demoralizing things rolling with you sometimes is that I feel like you're not even trying.
Trust me.
Because he's super technical. Like, dude, you to me are the embodiment of jiu-jitsu in a lot of ways in that, like, you're like perfect flow technique. And I think it's impressive. When you need to use your athleticism, you use it well. But you're not just a big, strong, athletic guy who's gets by on that. You have a lot of technique. So,
Thank you, man.
But anyway, this is my long-winded question. Answer it.
Yeah, well, it's true though, because anytime you do anything that takes a lot of discipline, you start realizing what you can carry that into anything else in your life. It wasn't just like soccer. That discipline I learned from becoming good at soccer, because soccer at one point in my life was my drug. And I realized how hard I had to work to get at the levels I did, which I wasn't anything special, but I busted my ass. It wasn't easy. So I knew when I got to jiu-jitsu that if I wanted to be proficient, I wanted to be good at it, that I had to bust my ass. I had to bring the same discipline that I had with soccer.
Right, you've already ingrained that into you. That's the level that you need to go to get where you want to go.
Without a doubt. And there's a certain like mixture you have to put in. You have to put in the hard work, the discipline, and then you have to be humble about it. You have to realize that you're not shit in the game. Like even now, like we've been doing it for 10 years, and the way I look at jiu-jitsu,
Longer, man, 11.
11 going on the 11. That's true. And now, but the way I look at it, it's just I'm like a fish stuck in the Atlantic Ocean, and jiu-jitsu is just the whole ocean. And there's just there's so much to learn. You'll never these guys have been training for 40, 50 years, and then when you hear them speak about jiu-jitsu, they talk about it as if they're newbies.
Yeah.
They're beginners, because the game is so vast, and now it's now with the
Ever
internet
changing and
oh man, and with the internet now, everyone's sharing. Back in the day, I remember hearing Danaher talk about how if you knew the triangle, you were the fucking man.
yeah.
You know what I mean? And now white belts are doing stuff that I wasn't even doing until purple belt.
When I first started training, I remember asking about a triangle, and they're like, "Nah, you can't learn that."
Yeah. Oh, were you Kyoto or Red Boy or?
Well, I started at Kyoto originally, and I asked about it, and they were like, "No, not yet." Like even the students, like some of my students, were like, "No, you're not ready for that."
Right.
Because triangle is famous. You watched Hoist Gracie
true.
catch triangles on chemo and shit like that.
That's
but
right,
yeah, it was like, no, you're not there yet. Now it's you got white belts that come in and they're doing fucking crazy shit like Barambolos and fucking whatever.
Oh yeah, man.
That's a whole nother conversation. But I agree with you. I do think that I feel like over the course of my times training, which has been pretty long, it's 11 years now, I feel like the game refreshes all the time. Like, just go back 5-6 years ago, it was 50-50. That was huge. Yeah. Then there's the Berimbolo.
It's true.
And now it's the leg lock game.
Yeah,
there's always some new thing that refreshes where it's like,
it's true.
I'm a white belt in leg locks.
Yeah, me too, man. That's the way I feel. Seriously.
Shout out to Luigi, who's been helping me.
Yeah. It's true, though, man. And Danahertz, when he went on the Rogan podcast, that was, when Dean Lister told him, why would you, not look at 50% of the body? I'm paraphrasing,
Yeah.
And it's so true, man. And it's totally changed the game. And I think things like that are just going to improve jiu-jitsu. To me, I always think about the future. So what's the future going to be like for fighting? Are we going to do fucking nerve attacks? Or like the dim mock or something, Because
Yes.
where is it going to go from here?
That's exactly right. Death touch.
Yeah, exactly.
What in the hell is a dim mac?
Not a scratch on it.
I'm just happy, man. Jiu-jitsu got out to the island because Henzo was the first one, right, in New York, and then Sarah and DRC came out to Long Island. I'm just glad it got to us, man. And then obviously with the Vamos brothers, and I'm just jiu-jitsu changed my life in so many ways. It's hard to talk about it, because I feel like we just ramble on about it sometimes. But it's one of the things.
That's why it's a 2-hour podcast.
All right, no doubt.
We can talk as long as we want about whatever we want.
This isn't fucking Fox and Friends, bro.
Yeah,
This is true. This is live. You're gonna edit this shit.
No editing.
No editing. Nice.
We just go straight out.
All right, man.
Just let it all hang out.
Just be careful.
If I say something stupid, just give me a thumbs down.
No, we're gonna let you go. We're gonna egg it on. Actually.
Yeah, this is a condomless podcast. No protection.
Pull and pray.
That's it. No deposits.
For sure.
But yeah, man. But going back to the original question, those things that I learned from soccer was what I applied to jiu-jitsu. And in the beginning, I sacrificed a lot of work actually, so I can do my 2, sometimes 3 a days. But once the bill started coming up, I couldn't do it as much, Yeah. But
when you got to pay rent and fucking food and electricity and shit,
it's just all that bullshit, But
you can't pawn a black belt. It doesn't.
yeah, exactly.
You could only choke so many bill collectors out before you get in real trouble.
Yeah, hell yeah.
I got no money for you, but I'll choke you unconscious.
But it's true, man. And then plus, age was a big factor, so I realized that I wanted to try to get my black belt before a certain age. Just because, don't get me wrong, you could do this for a long time, but I knew that I could only train like I trained that hard for for X amount of years before I started. Now, even now, now, I don't.
At a certain point, when it becomes like diminishing returns, like you're just putting too much in, killing your body.
And even now, like I have all these injuries I'm dealing with. I don't roll the same, because there's just certain things I can't do because it just hurts. It just hurts. But I'm glad I put the work in, and it wasn't just the jiu-jitsu, it was the people I met along the way. Obviously D-Rock, me and D-Rock became really close friends, but I have the same thing with a lot of other people that train there. There's a certain community when you train with people, especially with anything that deals with fighting. We talk about it, me and D-Rock talk about it all the time. You pretty much put everything on the mat and you know what we're made of. And when someone fights and you're fighting with them, you could tell a lot about their personality, the way they roll or the way they fight or just the way they are in general as people.
There's no hiding.
No, there's none.
Everything comes out.
Everything.
Who you are in real life, in one way or another, comes out on the mat. I think Henzo said something like that too, like your personality is revealed in it. But I truly believe that because it's like you said, when you train with people, your character gets revealed. You see what you're made of, and I think that's the beautiful thing about jiu-jitsu is it's very, very easy to make friends through jiu-jitsu for that reason. Because think about this, you're a bunch of guys and you're in a group and you're maybe your girlfriend and her friends and they have boyfriends and you meet a bunch of guys you never met. Everybody says what's up or whatever, but there's always this little sizing one each other up kind of thing. And there's always that little bit of standoffishness and passive aggressiveness, right? And it takes a while before that barrier is broken to get to know somebody for real. With jiu-jitsu, you show up, you get right in each other's face, you scrap, you establish what's what right then and there, you find out what the other person's made of, and then afterwards, you sit soaked in sweat and go, hey man, where are you from?
Yeah.
And that's a real honest conversation after that.
Man.
Because when you have that conversation, that whole veil of bullshit's removed. So that's why you and I were able to afterwards sit and talk. We got all that shit out of the way. That's why, everybody that you train with, that you've clicked with, you're friends right off the bat from that. But also, in the same token, this is another reason why I truly believe that, because I've rolled with people who roll like jerk-offs.
Yeah, dickheads.
And guess what? They're jerk-offs in real life.
Yeah. It's
So
true, man.
I just, there's people, and everybody here has trained with somebody that's been like that. They hurt you, and you know it's intentional or whatever,
Yeah.
and that's who they really are.
Yeah, without a doubt.
You know,
And,
there's
yeah.
a difference between hard training and training like a dickhead.
Yeah, without a doubt, man. And it's little details that I see in rolling where, let's say you're better than someone, or you have a dominant position. Or how do you act? Do you just do you bully them? Afterwards, do you try to help them out? For me, it was always a big thing because we all have to go through the process, and you understand in the beginning that when people start, you can't be a bully, man. To me, like being a bully is the one thing I just can't fucking stand. So in jiu-jitsu and anything in life, it's kind of the same thing. So when you meet someone and the way they handle the role is, like you said, it deals with who they are as people.
Yeah.
It's kind of like money and power. It just makes you more of what you are. If you're a fucking asshole, you're going to be more of an asshole.
Yeah.
If you're a nice
Money
guy,
doesn't change people. It allows them to be who they really are.
who they really want. Exactly. Who they really are. And
Shines
man.
a spotlight on all your flaws and piece of shit you might be.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Well, let it be known, if I ever get money,
Fuck
you're
all your
all
motherfuckers.
in trouble.
Hell yeah. Good point.
Hide the money, y'all. There's poor people around.
Some serious IHOP right there, man.
So, you took your athletic endeavors and put them into jiu-jitsu. So, playing any sport on a professional level changes it.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Whether you like it or not, it's going to change your relationship that you have with the sport. So, when you became a pro, did it sour soccer a little bit for you?
That's a good question, man. And up to a certain point, it did. Because now you're playing. Now you can't make mistakes. Now it's almost like you're a piece of equipment for the company that is the team. Because if you don't perform now, it's not like when you're younger and you're doing it for fun. And, if you fuck up a couple times and whatever, get back in there, try again. Once you get to those high levels, every mistake, same thing with jiu-jitsu, fight, anything, it's, they...
It's amplified and they'll
say,
fucking
times
yank
1,000.
you.
Yeah. And then, because I was in Puerto Rico for a while, and then I went over to Spain. And then it got to a point, man, I started feeling it inside of me. I just started losing that passion. And when you lose that passion, it's hard because, whatever sport you're doing, you have to wake up every day and just be that person where you have to push through the pain, push through, you're having a bad day, nobody gives a shit. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Get on the field and fucking score a goal.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. Or whatever it is, but it's that mentality. And after a while, I've been playing soccer and growing up in Spain since I was, 3 years old. I could start walking. I stopped playing at 25, 26, so it's a lot. And I play competitive my whole life. Every stage of my development through it, it was high level. And after a while, man, you just start. I can't explain it. Something inside you just changes. And then I don't know if the universe brought me jiu-jitsu, but I'm glad I found it, man, because I probably would be. I don't know. I'd be lost.
Gave you something else to focus on.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Kept me in shape, kept my mind clear. Because stresses of regular life can do weird shit to you.
So let me ask you something then. And most of this I already know, but this is for people who don't know. So we've had this conversation to one level or another. But did you carefully protect how you do jiu-jitsu for that reason? Because, it's long been said, like, if Spain competed, you could be a world champion. And not that you didn't compete, but you didn't do it nearly as much. And I often thought that you did that for that reason, because you wanted to protect what jiu-jitsu meant to you. You didn't want to turn it into, like, what soccer became.
Yeah, I mean, that was a big thing of it, too. In the beginning, I competed a lot more than now, once my bills started racking up, because a lot of my money's made on the weekends. And also, dude,
Man-whoring is a Friday through Sunday endeavor.
This is Monday through Sunday, right? Yeah, oh yeah. But yeah, man, it was definitely a big factor in because training to me, it's very personal. It touches my soul in a lot of ways. So I didn't want to turn that into the professional aspect before, where now, I'm going to be training where my mind is, because when you train, whether you're getting ready for a fight, even back in the day when I did a little bit of kickboxing and kung fu and stuff, your whole life revolves around it. I'm sure you know, D-Rock. I mean, before your fights, even though you were in, downtime watching TV, you were thinking about the fight.
Of course.
You're everything that is you is focused on that one thing. And I didn't want to tarnish that for jiu-jitsu either. But, I'm definitely going to compete more in the future now that things are slowing down and my job's getting a lot better. But in the beginning, it was a lot of that included with the bills I had to pay and not being able to work was a big
Fucking
thing.
bills, man. We gotta
telling
figure
you,
something
man.
out about that shit.
Been trying for a long time.
And and then the MMA fights would always come across my mind too. And then but there's just so many things involved now with the work. And if I get hurt, I'm fucked. For work, I'm fucked. I'm so fucked. It's not even funny.
Yeah.
And I know I have a certain mentality. Like when I train, I train. It's
Yeah, you
everyday
train
thing.
hard.
I train hard.
When we train, me and you, like, I can't remember an easy roll that we've ever had.
No, definitely.
Unless it was the first, flow roll. We were just trying to break a sweat. Anytime after that, dude, like, we get after it. I feel like a lot of our rounds have the same intensity as a competitive round would be, like a match. Like, we get after it. That one Sunday, man, when I was almost throwing up when we met up and trained, dude, we rolled for, 25, 30 minutes maybe?
Yeah.
But it was 25, 30 minutes of just
High level, hardcore.
Yeah, we went.
I don't know how high level it was because I was there, but
This guy tries to play like it's not good. I hate when he tries to play like it's not good.
oh, you mean like you?
Yeah.
Yeah, it sucks, right?
Good point.
See what I did there? That was verbal jujitsu. But yeah, we were getting after it. I mean, I feel like if you would have looked, from the outside looking in, you would have like, man, were those guys getting ready for the Pan Ams or something like that? Like, we were fucking scrapping.
Yeah, dude, I was shot after that, man.
So was I.
Yeah, I was fucking shot.
But anybody who's ever rolled with you can feel that competitive nature of you because when you need to, you turn. There's one thing in one night in particular that I remember that really left a mark on me, and I know you remember this. It was back at the old school. It was probably like 2012, I think. Shout out to John Satava, who I'm about to talk about.
Oh, yeah. Hell yeah.
John is a friend of ours and a friend of the school. He lives out on Long Island, but he'd been training full-time at Marcelo Garcia's in the city. He was home for whatever reason, and he was getting ready for the Pan Ams, Nogi Pans. And he was still a purple belt, too.
Yeah.
I believe me, you, and him were all purple belts, I believe,
Yeah,
at this point in time.
Yep.
And he was getting ready for the Nogi Pans and needed some rounds. And it was me, you, and him. And we rolled for probably I guess about a half hour between the three of us. But I remember you and him had one round that was fucking ridiculous. And I remember watching it like, this is insane because most people would have already quit at that moment, but neither one of you were willing to give a fucking inch. And, John is a competitor. He's
fucking awesome.
John lives, eats, sleeps, and breathes jiu-jitsu. He's a world champion at black belt now. He's a world champion at purple belt.
He's awesome.
And brown belt. Like, he is the penultimate competitor with this. He's ridiculous. Great jiu-jitsu. Awesome guy, too.
Yeah, hell yeah.
But, you weren't even competing, but you could see that competitive spirit in you right then and there. Because I remember watching, I was like, neither one of these guys are going to quit. They're going to go till they die. And they went through 2 rounds. The clock just kept going.
Yeah.
Neither one of them wanted to stop. And I think you guys rolled, because that was the very last one. I think you guys rolled for something like 18 minutes.
Yeah, it was a long one.
And John went on to go win a world championship at the Pan Ams after that weekend.
Yep.
And he ended up going up 2 weight classes, I believe it was, and beat everybody. That was, I think, his first world championship.
Yep.
But that night, I already knew you were good, but that night, seeing you go with somebody that high level to bring that out of you, I remember being really impressed.
And I'm telling you what, man, John, if you guys listening, if you ever want to look him up, he is fucking awesome. Not just like you're saying as a person, but his jiu-jitsu is on point.
Jiu-jitsu is incredible.
Yeah, dude. I mean, you're talking about a guy who went to, he's in Marcelo's. Now he's one of the top guys in Marcelo's.
He's one of the top guys in the world.
That's what I'm saying, man.
Arguably.
And just a great dude, great. I mean, I remember seeing him at a local tournament in Patchogue. I think it was at Finest Fitness.
Yep.
And he was a blue belt, and he was going against brown belts. I mean, the people outweighed him.
He submitted a black belt that day.
Wow. There it is. There it is.
Impressive.
And outweighed the shit out of him. I mean, this guy was a lot heavier than him. I'm like, this kid is fucking good. And then, once you start talking to him, you realize he's just such a nice guy,
Oh, he's such a good dude. Dude, at that tournament, people came up to him and they were like, do you know who you just beat? And he was like, I don't want to know.
Yeah.
He did not want to know because he didn't want it to go to his head. Mm-hmm. Didn't want to know. Yeah. Didn't want to hear it. He's like, I just want to do what I'm doing.
That's a good mentality.
Yeah, that just shows you the kind of guy he is.
Yeah, hell yeah.
So speaking of John Satava, if you want to look him up, find him on Instagram. It's JT Satava, JTSATAVA. Follow him on Instagram. The guy posts videos and links to his seminars and stuff like that. He's definitely a guy you're going to want to check out.
It's crazy, man. Watching him roll, I know because he was with Krishna for a while, right? And then he went over to Marcelo's, and now he looks like a little Marcelo the way he rolls. It's fucking awesome to watch, man. And if he's listening, man, I just wish the best for him because I know he's looking to do this professionally for a long time, and I wish him the best, man. And I really do. He's a great guy, and his jiu-jitsu is it's really fucking good.
Yeah. Well, that's what I mean. That night, I was like, holy shit! Like,
yeah, that was a good night. I was hurting for a while.
These dudes are for real.
It's fucking hurting, man. But yeah, dude, and that mentality, like you said from before, it definitely came from soccer. Because getting ready physically for soccer, soccer has this bad rep because you have these fucking assholes flopping around.
Oh, God,
you know what I mean? It is the worst fucking shit. But if you take that out of the game, it's a very physical game. You have to be in really good shape for it. And there's been numerous times where I've getting ready to play where I've thrown up, passed out because you're running so much, So I'm never scared to take the body to that point. So that's kind of what I did with jiu-jitsu. Was just I knew that I had to go in there and train every day until I couldn't fucking move anymore.
You kind of know where, like, some people don't realize, like, how durable and, how much the human body can really endure until you start doing things like that, playing sports and, running ultra marathons and, like, fucking doing some of the crazy shit that people do on a regular basis. Where most people are like, oh, how do you do it? Like, I can't do that. No, you can. You choose to sit on the couch. Like, you don't.
Absolutely.
You haven't pushed your threshold.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
exactly. Like, people just don't understand what, we're built for struggle.
Yeah.
A lot of fucking struggle.
Hell yeah.
So
It's true, man.
having played soccer, I'm sure you knew what your body can handle, what your body couldn't handle. So it made, that transition to jiu-jitsu, I'm sure, easier so you could really push yourself.
And plus your mind too. You realize, it's a funny relationship you have with your mind and your body, right? Where your body follows your mind, but if you can convince your mind that you're gonna do this until you pass out or you'll fucking die doing it, it'll help you out.
I have to repeat something that I got told when I first started training, and I'll never forget this. Eric Uresk was teaching, and we'd be doing warm-ups. He used to put us through real hard warm-ups and then hard conditioning at the end. He'd always say, your mind will quit long before your body does. Tell it to shut up.
And he's a tough motherfucker, man.
Yeah. I learned a lot of lessons from that, and like what Chris was just saying, like, you don't realize what you're capable of. That's a learned skill.
Yeah,
like
100%.
It took me a while to learn that. When I first started training, I did not train nearly as hard as I do now because I hadn't really been exposed to that much. And once I kind of started getting pushed, and as much as I don't want to give this fucking asshole credit, I got to give little Eric credit because he pushed me to limits, and I learned a lot from that. So he really kind of exposed me to giving more effort.
Yeah.
And then I know how to train. I didn't know before.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, there are so many things, so many times where people will say that they're super tired or they can't go any further, and it's like, well, is your body telling you can't? Like, can you pick up your feet? Can you still move? Yeah. Your brain is telling you. Your brain is signaling, oh, I'm fucking tired. I can't do any more of this. When really your body can continue going.
Yeah, absolutely.
Who was it? It was Goggins that said most people quit. They think they give 100%, and they're really at like 40.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. Yeah. Willpower, it's a muscle in itself.
Yeah, it's crazy.
You got to develop it.
And it's something you have to work on just as much as your physical skills. Like, your mental skills are just as important and just as tough to really build up.
Absolutely. And that's with anything. I know I got that a lot from my family too, because my family. Me a little bit, my parents a lot, and my grandparents a lot. They grew up so fucking poor, it wasn't even funny, And when you have nothing, the only thing that's really pushing you through to help your family is
Mike.
your mind.
Poverty's always hilarious. I'm sorry, I had to.
Nah, you know what it was? I saw you sitting there looking at me. I'm like, this motherfucker got a joke right now.
He's got something.
I can feel it.
He's setting it up.
But yeah, man. Your mind strength and focus will take you really far, man. It really will. And if you don't learn that from a younger age, when you get older, it could be a little tougher. But if you instill that in kids when they're younger, you know, it's going to take them through anything.
That's why I think wrestling is
Without a doubt.
the best sport for kids because it teaches you that. It makes you a man.
Dude, those are the mentally some of the toughest people I've met in my life, man. Unreal.
It's crazy too, like how it kind of works in both ways. You know, as far as like, you know, meditating and things like that. Like your brain can help heal your body just as much as it can push it to, you know, extremes.
Absolutely.
You know, it's really. I've been trying to do it more often. Is, you know, just taking 5 minutes or 10 minutes just to, you know, kind of clear your head, clear your body, clear your mind, and allowing yourself, you know, to just really relax.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, it's few and far between when you actually take that time, or anyone takes that time because of how busy your schedule are. You know, I'm working, I gotta go work out, I gotta go pick the kids, I gotta cook, and you know, 5 or 10 minutes really it makes a huge difference.
Absolutely, man.
Well, also the other thing that you said you're right about is that, you know, between life getting in the way, I think most people are probably scared to do that, because if you really have to, if you sit without the TV on or without anything on, you're forced to deal with yourself now. Yeah. And I don't think a lot of people want to do that. You know, if you sit in that silence where you don't just put on mindless TV and surf your phone or whatever, you sit in silence and you're alone with just your thoughts, that 5-10 minutes, it could be scary.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, sometimes it is real scary. Like, I personally sleep with either the radio or the TV on, because if not, and my brain is going fucking nonstop, I can't sleep. I'll be thinking about some of the weirdest shit ever, and like, you know, whether it's completely random shit or fucking the economy's deficit. Like, my brain is just fucking going nonstop. I'm like, I gotta put fucking TV on so I can sleep.
Well, the best is when you fall into that mid-level conscious sleep state where your conversations and thoughts become a mixture of that, where you're like inserting random bullshit into the economy tanking. When you're like, I wonder what happens if a tiger fucks an elephant and then the economy crashes and they have a baby because the baby
is it good meat? Can we stimulate the economy and get some good meat going? Like,
that's then it gets real fucking weird.
Real fucking
I don't know. I'm glad I threw that out there not knowing. I'm glad it's not just me.
No, it's everybody. 100%.
I mean, I'm no fucking guru, you know, but the few times I have meditated in my life, the first 5 minutes where you're focusing on your breathing and you're kind of just watching your thoughts, it's fucking weird.
There's some weird shit.
There's some weird shit in there.
And it's real frustrating, for me at least, because I remember when I first like started kind of exploring my mind, for lack of a better word, is like how frustrating it is at times to have any agency over your thoughts. You can't help what pops in there.
Yeah.
Well, that's Sam Harris's whole argument over whether you know, free will and consciousness is really free will.
Yeah.
Because
fucking fucked my mind up.
Fucked my mind up too. Like reading his book, I was just like, oh shit. Are any of my thoughts my own?
Yeah,
like, what
exactly.
who's fucking popping this shit? Because you can't control the shit that's popping in your head. And then you start to really look at it and think about, you know, it's a series of things that you've gone through in your life, past, present, future. Like, it's really fucking trippy.
Yeah, you are more or less a slave to mechanical and chemical impulses, and like those might be what are controlling your thoughts. Yeah. And that's another reason why I'm real happy I got the float, because
that shit's awesome.
You can, being in that tank really does help remove yourself from your body.
Yeah.
You know, you try to sit alone. Anybody, if you're listening to this, sit alone for 2 minutes and try to not to think and just focus on your breath. And I guarantee you, inside of that 2 minutes, you're going to get itchy.
Yeah.
You're going to want to like wiggle something.
That's true.
You're going to like, you know, scratch your nose. Something starts happening where your body pulls you out of it.
Yep.
And the tank is real good for that. I mean, you know, Rogan's obviously ranted on and on about this, but he's right. You get in the tank, it's, you know, heated to your body temperature. It's got thousands of pounds of salt in it. You're buoyant, and outside of the first couple times where you kind of don't know what to do with your neck, your neck gets a little weird. It really does help start to pull you out of that, where the physical part of you gets removed, where it is just your thoughts. And I notice it's different when I'm in there.
Yeah.
So it helps.
It's trippy, man. I remember, you know, talking about this same subject. I read the book. It's been a while now, but The Power of Now, right? And
Is that Eckhart Tolle?
Eckhart Tolle, yeah. And, I mean, every book has its good and bad, but one thing that really kind of freaked me out was that he put attention on the fact that you can, there's two conversations going on in your head, or, there's actually a part of you that's observing you think. So what is that? Like, what is that, the part of you that's observing all that? And that really freaked me out, because that's what meditation is. You're actually, you're sitting as the observer, watching yourself have these thoughts, or, so stepped out of yourself so much that, what's the difference between my mind having these thoughts and me that's observing it? Like, which is which?
Yeah.
Which is the real me? You know what I mean?
Are there two people in here? Like,
Yeah,
what
that's what I'm saying, man.
What the fuck is going on?
And what is the real you? Like we were talking about before, all our thoughts, there's nothing new under the sun. So, like, who is the real you?
Yeah, I don't remember which book it is, but it's similar to this. And I think it was Stephen Pressfield, actually. It might have been Stephen Pressfield, The War of Art, where he talks about the imaginary audience.
Oh, nice.
Where I was so relieved when I heard this, because I was like, man, thank God this is not just me. Oftentimes you perceive yourself as, even though it's not the case, you perceive yourself almost as the center of attention, that for whatever reason, whenever you are where you are, everyone's watching you.
Yeah.
And that's more than, likely not the case ever. But people have that, and it affects how you act sometimes, but it also affects your thoughts. Like you said, you are the observer as well. So you're thinking almost in terms of...
What are you portraying to these other people?
Right.
Yeah.
And even in your own mind, you think of yourself as the imaginary audience as well. And you wonder, like, how, it's just... I hope that made sense.
Yeah,
No, it
completely,
definitely did.
made sense. And it's crazy to stop and think about that. Like, I've thought about this a few different times. Actually, a lot of different times, but where you stop and think about, like, what reality is. So my reality is different than your reality. Is different than your reality.
Yep.
And it almost, like, when you stop and think about it, where everyone else is kind of like players in your movie.
Yeah.
Like the movie of yourself.
Yeah.
Because in reality, like, I know, you guys all have lives outside of interacting with me. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, it doesn't mean anything. Yeah. Like, it means
true,
nothing. Like, outside of our interaction here, and then when we go separate ways, like, now my reality is whatever I'm doing, and then your reality is gone to me.
Yeah.
Well, that's like the idea of people saying, like, if I close my eyes, does the world disappear? Or if I die, does the world end?
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Because in what you said, in a
way
way,
it does, though.
in a way, you are the universe, right? Because it's just you. You're not experiencing anybody else's
Right.
world. So when you die,
That's it.
world, I used to say this to my my mom when I was a kid. I remember she used to, like, tell me, like, when she was, like, yelling at me for being a dick, and, like, talk to me about, like, how I was when she grew up and whatever. Yeah, all the time. I'd be like, you know what, like, I don't care about how it was when you were a kid. That didn't even happen. The world didn't start till I got here.
Yeah, it's true, man.
So as far as I'm concerned, everything prior to 1983 was a lie.
It's all
made up
fabricated.
shit,
Yeah.
It's all signals in your brain.
I mean, I think it was Mark Twain who said this too, and this actual quote helped kind of change my view on a lot of things. And one of I was raised a born again Christian, and my family still is, and I was a pretty devout Christian up until I was probably 18 or so. But I remember hearing this quote about it, and this really helped start pushing me to, I guess I don't want to say I'm an atheist, but I don't know.
Agnostic, maybe?
I guess, yeah, because I can't discount that there's some kind of higher power that I don't know.
Yeah.
Right.
But I do not believe in any of the traditional ideas of deities and theists. But I believe it was Mark Twain who said this quote, and they were talking about, life after death and what happens, and he's like, I was dead for billions of years before I ever lived, and I never suffered the slightest inconvenience for it. I don't see why death should be any different.
That's cool.
And that made so much sense to me.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Because there's no pre-life that we're aware of. And, like, whatever, you can get into ideas of reincarnation and all that, but the bottom line is nobody knows. Yeah. And with death, nobody knows.
Yeah.
And I don't remember shit.
No.
So I remember hearing that, and I really thought about it, and I just was like, motherfucker.
That's a lot of sense,
You know what the crazy thing about that stuff is when you really look at, like, what has happened in the past, history is written by the winners.
Always. Yeah.
So
his story, right?
yeah, like, it's if you really stop and think, if you stop and think about it, all the things that we know for fact, are they really fact though?
Yeah.
Right.
Are they fact? No, they're written by whoever came out on top.
Yeah.
You know, you think about look at World War I, World War II. Had few things gone a little bit differently, the whole narrative to that stuff would be different. It would be the Germans were right. The Allies were the wrong ones. It's all a matter of.
Well, think about this, right? And I know Spain as well is a big fan of these guys. I know so you. Think about Graham Hancock, man.
Oh yeah.
He's been right now. Everything keeps getting older. Yeah. You know, the way we looked at history, just in our short 35 plus years on this planet, how much has shit changed in history? How much older has history gotten? They were all wrong.
Yeah.
Everything is way older than they thought.
Yep.
So that just goes to show you that not only is history written by the winners, but some history didn't get written enough. It didn't survive.
Yeah, exactly. And then you're actually touching on something that's been on my mind a lot lately, is the fact that a lot of the things that we consider to be true are things that we have to take someone else's word on. You know, a lot of our life is based on that. That's what I mean, man.
You think about the things that go on in your head. How many things you actually can prove,
right,
without a shadow of a doubt, 100%, that's real.
Without a doubt, man. And and now, back in the day, if you were an illiterate farmer, the priest, he was the one who supposedly knew God's message. And now these priests are turning into. I mean, don't get me wrong, dude. Science is always different than religion, but science, there's also a theoretical side where they kind of just say things and we have to believe them because there's no fucking way we could know. You know what I mean? Even when they talk about
a wormhole or something like that, we don't really fucking know.
This thing is 30 billion light years away. How the fuck do I know?
Whatever. I'll take your word for it.
That's what I'm saying. And don't get me wrong. There's certain people that you have to listen to. If someone newbie came up and want to know about soccer or jiu-jitsu, they should listen a little more to us because we've been involved.
Of course,
you know what I'm saying? But in the end of the day, dude, there's a lot of stuff that even in the world of science that nobody really fucking knows, man.
No, we take their word for it. They can come up with a theory and a couple of formulas to prove that theory, and when you really stop and look at it, you're like, okay, cool. That your theory is being, or your theory is being proved by this formula, that we're going based off of someone else's theory that was proved by some formula and proved by some other formula.
Right.
So how much of it is actually real? What do we really know 100%?
Well, that's the thing that I love about science, and that's why I'm so glad people like Neil deGrasse Tyson exist, or Lawrence Krauss and guys like that who are helping make science more palatable to the average person, because they can explain it for idiots like us to understand and know. But that's the great thing I love about science, is that the peer review is what gives its credibility. Without that, we would all just be hinged on somebody's suggestions. That's the beautiful thing about it. And that's the beautiful thing about the internet right now, because, and I'm taking a devil's advocate type stance on this just for the sake of conversation, but also because I run into this sometimes with other people. I understand what you guys are saying, and yes, it is true to a certain degree, but that's what I love about, like I said, the peer review and the internet now, is that you can now finally go and investigate these things. Before the internet, guys like us couldn't go investigate some of this shit. And don't get me wrong, even the internet has a certain level of that to it, because there's a lot of horse shit out there. The problem with the internet is that every idiot can make a webpage. Look at some of these flat Earth documentaries.
Oh my God.
They're really compelling.
Yeah, but please don't take that away from us, though, because it's so much fun, all this shit. You know what I mean? They start controlling the internet. Don't take that shit away from me, please. My 3 o'clock YouTube.
No, what I'm saying is you can get hornswoggled by some of that stuff. There's just as much bad information out there, and that gets put together properly, which makes it more palatable. You can watch a flat Earth documentary, and if you're a little bit of a dum-dum, you're walk away from that like, holy shit, we've been lied to. This is true. So you have to be able to sift through some bullshit.
But you're proving my point.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Well, that's what I'm saying. There is some of that in there, so you have to be able to discern. You have to use a proper mindset and discern and sift through some bullshit to figure it out. You got to go through more than one or two sources. You can't just read headlines. You know what I'm saying? If you really have to do your due diligence.
Yeah, without a doubt. And you got to have a critical eye too, because all the things that we consider to be today are things that had to fight through a bunch of bullshit, political, scientific. You know what I mean? That now we consider, of course it's true, but it took forever to get to the mainstream.
Right.
Because even within the political world, they have their own you know, because there's funding involved, there's money involved, there's all this shit involved where, you know, maybe they don't want to change. You know, maybe you're a professor for 30 years and have this one special topic.
Look at
and now,
Egypt.
You know,
Yeah.
that's
Egypt,
all we're saying.
perfect
Yeah,
example.
exactly.
That shit is. I mean, everything's changed. Like the what we thought was fact, and what again, you know, we're going based on history and what was written down.
Yep.
And now, as we start to investigate more and more, we're starting to realize, holy shit, we don't know what the fuck we were talking about. We talked this shit for 100 years, and none of it's true.
Especially now with the Sphinx, you know, they've the water erosion on it. You know, that's a big debate. You know, I think Robert Schock or Shook, I don't know how to pronounce his last name. You know, Schock, yeah, he's talking about all the water erosion. That the last time there was that much waterfall in Egypt was what 10,000 years ago.
It dates the pyramids to be way older.
Way,
and all these Egyptologists who've been writing these books don't want to listen to. And
Yeah,
now,
they can't. Like,
that's to defend science in a way.
Oh, yeah.
People, you know, a lot of people point out, oh, scientists don't know shit. It's like, no, that's humans. That's the human condition.
Right.
That's with anything. You know, I could go outside and tell you the sky's not blue all day long and really believe. You know what I'm saying? Like that's just a human condition. You know,
I'm a fan of the scientific method, right? But now what happens is people start putting their own personal views on shit. Like the scientific method is sound as fuck because you're doing an experiment where you're getting repeatable things that you can observe, repeat, you know, all that stuff. The scientific method is, but you know, now what happens is a lot of people have their own prejudices, and you have to watch out for that too.
That's the problem with a lot of things now. This is what makes me skeptical all the time. Once I start hearing an agenda, I automatically begin to question your integrity on the subject.
What are you trying to get out of this?
Why are you slanting? Why you're trying to push your view? You're trying to present your view as being 100% right. You're convinced that you're so right that you can present all these facts and try and make it support confirmation bias. You know,
it's like, oh, you want tenure, you want a fellowship, you want you want all these things because your view has to be the right one. So now you're discounting the evidence from other people because it doesn't support your agenda.
Right.
You're just totally thrown out of the fucking
because it's
window.
what you want to be correct.
Right.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Not what is actually correct.
And now we're at a point, you know, with the internet, like we were talking about before, that I mean, like me, I'm an information junkie, right? I don't claim to know the truth. I just claim that I love to read on shit. You know, like I'm a 100%. Person that I read a lot. You know, not to make that sound like whatever it sounds like, but
well, you do. I can vouch for that. I mean, me and you have traded how many books back and forth through the years?
I can't even fucking tell, man. I can't even tell. And now my mind's at a point now where I'm open to a lot of things, but I enjoy my mind now because I can listen to anything. And you know when you hear something and it goes against you and you feel like that. I don't know, like that feeling inside. Like, are you attacking my ego, bro? You know what I'm saying? Are you saying I don't know what I'm talking about? You know, it's almost like you're attacking yourself. But then I'm so disconnected from that I can listen to anyone talk as long as you make a logical point. I'll listen to you. I will listen.
Absolutely,
without a doubt.
You know what's the best training for that I've been doing? Is I log onto my Facebook and I read everybody's shit. And when I get compelled to want to write something, I stop myself.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
it's been great training for me to learn how to. Also, this podcast too, believe it or not. Listen, you know, we've had some talks with people where I maybe didn't necessarily agree, and rather than just jump right in or whatever, it's been good training with helping me, like you just said, listen, and just keep it open mind, rip up when you want to, but not get that
responding to ridiculous shit on Facebook could be a full-time fucking job.
Oh my god, bro!
It's a personality flaw in my opinion too.
Easy.
I used to do that with YouTube, where I would do these fucking comment wars. I'm like, these motherfuckers not gonna invest in me.
YouTube comments is just the gutter.
Yeah, I know.
And everything will fucking eventually turn into racism and fucking a Nazi.
It doesn't matter what it is. It could be two cats licking each other, and somehow it'll turn into some kind of racism.
You know, Hitler fucking loved cats.
I know, right? There's no connection.
You're only watching this cat because you're white privilege.
That's so true.
Jesus, I thought I was just here because I like cats.
And that's the thing with YouTube, man. Like I know now there's a lot of censorship going on with YouTube, but I fucking hate that, man. You know, because the fact that, don't get me wrong, I think we as human beings, individuals, we should be able to have the right to just sit. If it's bullshit, it's bullshit.
Yeah.
But let me decide that. I don't want some dude in some office telling me, no, you can't see this because it's not true. Like, no, motherfucker.
No. I'll make the decision.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's
that goes back to the start of our conversation. Reality is subjective to everybody.
100%.
So one person cannot tell everybody else what reality is. Otherwise, it's just their fucking reality.
Yeah, exactly.
And I learned that actually when I was younger. quick little story. When my
We ain't
brother
got time
was
for
born-
that shit,
we ain't got
bro.
time for that. We're like fucking out.
Let's
Wrap this shit up. All right, real quick.
Hold on, our guest is trying to tell a story about himself. No, fuck that shit.
No, but dealing with the perspective thing, it's true. My brother was born, right? So we're in the hospital waiting. My grandmother, my parents, and I was there. And nurse walked by. She knocked some pan down, right? And it made a really loud noise. And my brother started crying. And my dad got fucking mad, dude. I mean, he was mad at this nurse. You know, my son just got born. He woke him up. And I look over, my grandmother's crying. And I'm like, Nana, what's wrong? And she's like, oh, my God, now we know he's not deaf. So now you have my father all pissed off because he woke up my brother. And now my grandmother's happy as shit because now she knows that my brother's not deaf.
Perspective.
Perspective.
You know what I mean? Perspective. That I was 9 or 10 when that happened, and it taught me such a big lesson about life.
It's amazing how like small little things like that can leave such a lasting impression on you. You know, like that's if you really think about like in the grand scheme of things, that's a very small thing that's happened in your life, but at the same point, it taught you such a profound lesson about perspective, which is something that you carry with you and will affect your entire life now.
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah, perspective's a motherfucker.
Yeah, bro.
Especially when you have, because I say that all the time because I have been on the wrong side of perspective where I thought, like you said, like you think you have an idea of what's right or whatever, you have this idea, and then all of a sudden you get exposed to this other side of it that you never even considered, and you're like, holy shit, it changes everything, and now I feel like a dickhead.
Yeah.
Perspective is a motherfucker.
Yeah,
it's very humbling.
Absolutely, man. And and you can only get to that point when you're honest with yourself, and you look at all sides of the argument.
Which is tough for a lot of people.
Yeah, myself included, man. I'm not gonna, I still have my prejudices,
too, yeah.
I definitely do.
Not prejudice, I just observe stereotypes.
That's good.
Shout out to Eric Ott.
Yeah, that was good. It's like my friend told me today, I'm like, oh, there's no such thing as prostitutes. There's horizontal refreshments. I thought that was fucking great.
That is good.
Oh, that is real good.
But yeah, man, I mean, that and, I know D-Rock said before you were a big Graham Hancock, and he actually really changed my chip on just ancient cultures and the possibility of maybe history being a lot longer than we thought.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I've read all his fucking books, man. I'm a big fan. Anybody listening, if you're into this stuff, Graham Hancock he writes really well, too.
Fucking blow your mind about some of this shit, like, what the hell are they called? The diamonds that they found that
with the comet?
Yeah.
That
fucked me up bad.
Wait, I don't think I know what you're talking about.
Well, that's from Magicians of the Gods when he's talking about how there might have been a cataclysmic event that wiped out the Earth and we started over.
For almost sure.
Yeah,
like
now,
that.
yeah.
No, I knew about that, but what do you said something about?
They're called something diamonds that are created by the meteorites hitting the Earth.
The temperature. Okay,
Yeah,
I do know what
hit
you're talking
it.
about. Yeah,
And
like this certain mineral could not be created unless there was
without
like a heat.
almost like a nuclear explosion.
Yeah.
And,
like nuclear glass. And shit like that.
exactly.
Yeah, okay.
And then when you look at the ice records of the Younger Dryas period, too, I mean, there's a lot of evidence there that
This
points
guy
to
hit
that.
us with a Younger Dryas. Oh,
Fucking
shit.
right.
Shit,
This motherfucker's a black belt in Graham Hancock.
Oh, bro, yeah, man. First book, you know what it is? If it wasn't for Rogan's podcast, man, I didn't even know
Yeah, that's how I got introduced.
Him and
to
Randall
it.
Carlson,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, Randall
Fucking-
Carlson, another one, yep. Yeah, man. And now Hancock's got a new one coming out with ancient cultures that existed in North America.
Really?
Yeah, that's when he's writing right now.
That's fucking dope.
Fucking pumped about this.
That should be real awesome because we're starting to realize a lot of different things that like humans were here on North America way before that we had initially thought, and then not even just humans, but they've been talking a lot about the some of the animals and stuff that were here that we had no fucking idea.
It's true, man.
Where they Rogan talks about sometimes the short-faced bear or something like that. It's like a mega fucking bear that lived on North America, and much more recent than we thought.
Right.
Really? Yeah. There's some real wild shit that went on here. One of the craziest ones was it the terror bird?
Oh yeah,
Dude, that shit is fucking crazy.
Why would happen any of that?
So it was, you know what? Research team, can you pull that up?
Oh, that's awesome. Oh, that's great.
Yeah, we're gonna pull this shit up, and
Like
that way you
terror,
can come.
like
Yeah.
Earth or terror like I'm scared?
No, I think like terror, like I'm
like
scared.
pterodactyl. No, I thought it was terror almost as in pterodactyl.
Oh, short-faced bear. Yeah, that's what it was called.
Nice.
12 feet tall.
Yeah, 11 or 12 feet tall.
1,100 pounds.
Jesus Christ.
And more and much more recent, like obviously we know, there were crazy animals like that, like way back in the day, dinosaurs and shit like that. But they're starting to find evidence that these things were around, around the same time as humans,
Like coexisted with humans.
yeah, or maybe not humans, but
Some type of
humanoids,
human.
yeah,
Yeah,
like
some type of.
That's what
Yeah.
I'm saying, man.
The terror bird is essentially a 15-foot tall bird with a battle axe.
Yeah.
And a beak that could cut a person in half if it was today.
yeah, it's
That used to live
fucking
in
real
Australia.
crazy.
Better learn how to slip a punch.
For sure. For sure. That's why I always think it's so funny. Like, when people talk about like things being fantasy and like, oh, dragons could never exist. And I'm like, what are you fucking out of your mind? They
know,
did
right?
fucking exist.
Yeah.
They fucking 100% did. They're called dinosaurs. And not only that, but they're like, oh, well, fire breathing. I'm like, yo, there are animals now that shoot fucking acid from their face.
Hell yeah.
Why do you think that they couldn't have a chemical reaction where it could combust?
It's true, man.
Doesn't the kimono dragon do something like that?
Well, they
Venomous
venom saliva that will actually break down bone.
Right.
Like that's how fucking crazy their saliva is. Like
And the dragon's been one of the, an ancient symbol in every culture.
in every fucking
single
culture. So
you
that's
know?
why I'm like, why are you so like, this didn't happen? I'm like,
To really get into that point too, and this is, I don't know if it adds up or not, but it makes sense to me in my brain, and maybe it's just parallel thinking. But, you said how dragons have been symbols in a lot of these ancient cultures and stuff like that. It's like, you think that's shared only by coincidence, and you look at the pyramids in Egypt, and across the fucking planet in South
Mayas,
America,
the Incas,
the Mayas, the Incas, they were building not exactly the same thing, but
Pretty
they were still
fucking close.
pyramids.
Yeah,
Now you can get into the whole Pangea thing that obviously, they were closer
Everything was
together,
Yeah.
but even
Connected at
still,
some point.
it was still real fucking far
Yeah.
away, even if it was Pangea. So like, you
Well,
got to
that's
think
like
that
the-
it's not a coincidence.
Right.
everything was connected. I don't care what anyone fucking said. Like there's scientific evidence now that shows, even as far as like Native Americans share common ancestors with Siberians.
Siberians, yeah.
Yep. I saw that the other day.
Like that's fucking
Oh,
ridiculous.
there's a
Come on.
shitload of stuff, man. They found
It's-
cocaine in some of these mummies in Egypt,
What?
Yeah, they found,
Yo, I got to get to fucking Egypt, man.
Is that why they were raiding the fucking tombs?
bro, that is one place I want. That's my bucket list before I die.
Wait, hold on. I need you to. I
I don't know that much
not-
about it. I know recently they found in some of these mummified mummies. It sounds retarded, but anyway. But they found like
Mummified
cocaine.
remains.
It's all right.
leaves.
English isn't his first language.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Which is goddamn impressive. 'Cause,
ESL graduate kids.
yo, when I found that out about you, I was like, really?
I have a great
This
story
wasn't
about that.
No, come on now.
So I knew everybody called him Spain, but I didn't know that he had lived there. I thought you were just Spanish, so everybody called him Spain. So it wasn't until like a couple months later that he was like, no, I used to live in Spain. I'm from Spain. I was like, what? I was like, I've never would have guessed. You don't have an accent, nothing.
no.
And it wasn't until I texted with Mike that I was like, all right, yeah, English is not his first language.
yeah, exactly.
Because when you text with him, you're like, all right, now I get it. When you're so well spoken, you don't have a hint of an accent, anything like that. It's very impressive, but sometimes the text spelling gets wonky, and I'm like, I still break your balls about it too. I'm like,
Yeah,
ESL, huh?
Well, now too, especially now with the fucking internet. Now I'm speaking with people from Spain, from here, and then it just gets mixed.
I was just about to ask you that, like, because you have no accent, because you speak English so well, do you notice a difference when you go back to Spain and actually speak with people? Do they sometimes think that like you're not
Oh yeah,
from
without a doubt.
there?
Yeah, without a doubt. Because no matter where you go, even if you guys, even if you go,
Well, I know that there's different dialects in different
Yeah.
areas. So my stepfather is 100% Sicilian, like off the boat Sicilian.
Right.
But I mean, he's also been here for like 50 years now. But you'd swear he just got off the boat yesterday. Like that's how heavy his accent is.
hell yeah.
But so I know like different dialects. Like hearing him speak with like different people from his own family that were from different parts of Italy. It's very different.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
You know.
You know what it is when you're not around, you don't hear the words they use. Like the vernacular of it, everything. You start losing the flow.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing if I'm in Spain for too long and I come back, it feels weird.
Well, it's like anything
You're
else. If you
fucking
don't use
gringos.
it, you lose it.
Yeah,
you know?
without a doubt. Without a doubt. And especially my region where I'm from, the whole north of Spain, they have different languages. You know, they're considered different languages because the whole north of Spain had kingdoms before Spain actually was a country, you know, what you know of Spain is today. So the region I'm in, you know, there's thousands of years of history. So they speak Gallego, which is, it's like a mixture of Spanish and Portuguese.
Okay.
You know, so it's really, you know, and then now when I speak that, you could tell that.
That's
you know what
real
I mean?
rough.
'Cause
Like,
it's hard, man. And even people who live there, when you speak, if you want to go back all the way to the original Gallego, it's, you know, it's almost impossible.
completely different.
And the whole north, that's one of the big things about Spain. The north is, they're having problems right now because Catalonia is trying to secede from the Spanish government. You know, and there's a huge fight going on right now about that. But that's off track anyway. But
Nah, everything's on track. Everything. The track is wherever Spain wants to go.
Which is apparently seceding.
so yeah, where do we go next?
Yeah, dude, like
We
this.
secede. We talk about that a lot. If Eric was here, he would be fucking.
Oh, this forget it.
What I?
Yeah.
Okay,
But yeah, dude, we talk about whatever the fuck we want. There's no off subject.
This is
That's
fun, man. I'm not gonna lie, this is fucking
that's
fun.
the beautiful. Well, this is the beauty of it, right? Like because we can do whatever the fuck we want.
Yeah.
we
Yeah,
can
hell yeah.
say
It's our
and
show.
talk about whatever we want. You know, so we get off on a tangent. It's fine.
That's fine.
That's what this is about. That's why we do it for 2 hours. You know, like
That's true.
there's no limits, man. We talk about whatever the fuck we want. We've had
Nothing's
podcasts.
out of bounds.
What were you talking about before my ESL skills?
Cocaine mummies.
Yeah,
Right,
cooking
yeah,
ones,
that's right. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
old
no, yeah,
animals
yeah.
and well,
right.
what's the? I know. I mean, most statistics are fucking bullshit anyway. But I've heard as high as like 95% of everything that's ever lived on the earth is extinct.
Oh yeah.
It's not extinct, yeah.
Oh yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
Which
Without a
fucking
doubt.
blows your mind. Like,
Yeah, dude.
there's like 4,000 mammals alone
Yeah,
on the
man.
planet right now. So you're saying that 95% of that shit's extinct?
And
like,
when's our
what
turn?
the fuck?
Well, that's what gets me mad sometimes about these fucking save the earth, save the animals people. It's like, dude,
Yo.
fucking give it a break. Like everything fucking dies.
Yeah.
Everything that's ever lived on this planet has been is dead and never coming back.
The Earth has
man.
been here way longer than we've been here. It's going to be here way longer than we're here.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
at some point, like, I hate to spoil alert for you guys, we're all going to fucking die.
Yeah,
Humanity
yeah.
is going to end.
Absolutely, man.
It's inevitable. Like,
And that's scary, man. If you think of it now, I mean, that's
fucking
humanity
crazy.
in general, but just death in general, man.
Yeah.
Like, this shit just ends.
There you go. Here we go. The Earth is undergoing a 6th mass extinction.
There you go.
99.9% of all past species is extinct.
99.9.
Hey, you know what's going to go next that's going to be completely extinct? Vegans. Just kidding, vegans. You're all right.
I was about to say diesel.
They're just easy targets.
That's fucking scary though. 99.9, man.
Well, that's, you know, this is why I get like amped up sometimes about like, and my perfect example about this is after the tsunami in Japan. You know, it was a horrible situation.
Yeah.
And I remember going on Facebook and it only been like 2 days and people were like setting up, you know, funds and shit to go rescue dogs. And I'm like, hey man, what about the people?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
what the fuck? And I'm not, dude, I'm all for that shit, but like, people first.
Yeah.
I'm always team people.
Yeah.
Like, I love animals. I'm down to save them, but like, 2-3 days and I'm like, dude, there's still people that need help, and you're worrying about saving a fucking dog right now? Get the fuck out of here.
And you know those people that if you bring it to their level where it's their survival over an animal, they'll pick themselves. So you know it's all bullshit. You know what I mean?
I just can't get into that line of thinking. Hey man, after you got everybody out of there and it's good, yes, go back in and get the wildlife.
Yeah.
I support that 100%.
Absolutely.
But when I would save a human's life over any animal 100% of the
course,
time.
man.
And you know, even if you're a bad human, I'm still doing it because I hear people like, "Oh no, I take my dog before some asshole." Blah blah. Fuck that.
Yeah, dude.
I'm team people all the way.
You know,
Yeah, there's some people I would fucking let die. and
See,
save
here
them.
we go. We got one of them.
dude, and you know you have to give a balanced viewpoint on nature. Like nature's beautiful, but don't get me wrong. My family lived in nature, and nature can, if you don't control it, will fuck you up. Nature doesn't give a shit
They
about
don't
you.
give a fuck.
Wildlife, yeah.
That's why I always think it's so fucking goddamn funny. Like when people are like, "Oh, animals don't eat animals. Like we should all eat plants." Get the fuck out of here! I don't give a fuck what animal it is. It will eat you to fucking survive
Oh, yeah,
in
without
a
a doubt.
heartbeat. It
Without
could
a
be
doubt.
the nicest. Oh, but pigs are so cute. No, they're fucking delicious too.
Yeah,
but they will eat you in a fucking heartbeat. They will
if they're starving, without a
eat
doubt.
every single fucking thing on you. Like, so, like, you're out of your fucking mind.
And that, and if you grow up in the wild, or you go out and you have to actually, clear out the forest,
Oh, yeah.
Fucking now these things, the animal world will try to eat your babies.
Oh, yeah.
There's no way around that.
They'll
Like,
fucking snatch those things up in a second.
That's what I'm
like,
saying.
Don't mind, thank you.
And now we're at a point, where there's so much technology where we can control our environment at a certain point, and it's a lot easier.
We're so removed from those well, not everyone, but for the most part, especially here in the U.S., we're so removed from those struggles of, whether it be having to farm your own food or hunt your own food or, even deal with, a pack of hyenas fucking breaking in and, stealing your baby or something like that. Like, most Americans just don't even understand that, and to even comprehend it, like, they just can't. They can't wrap their head around it. So it's... They come up with these, false struggles, I guess you want to call them, or whatever they're doing to. But no, we should all live this way, and everyone, we shouldn't because nature, nature's kind and it's forgiving. No, it's not.
Bullshit.
Yeah, that's bullshit right there,
shit, dude. And and that and people who live off the land. I mean, what 90% of the world? If you have a bad harvest, you're fucked.
You're dead.
You're fucked. Now
You're
you're relying
yeah.
on the charity of your neighbors.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not the type of personality I have. I don't like to abuse things. So, like my girlfriend's vegan. I understand her viewpoint because she's at a point now where she has the option of being it. And I understand people want to do that, And, but, at the same time, you have to understand that if we were out in the wild, you know what I'm saying? It'd be a little different.
It's a little different.
It'd be a little different. And I see it
Honey,
with my
you're
family.
eating this fucking squirrel that I killed. Otherwise, you're dying.
Or else, 'cause what if you're in a desolate area and you don't have the greens?
Yeah.
Now it's either you, the animal life kills you, or you kill it.
Yeah.
So I understand both sides of it, but
and I understand I'm okay with people wanting to be vegan or vegetarian or anything, for their own personal reasons and stuff. Even the humanity and cruelty and stuff like that, factory farming and shit is fucking terrible.
It's so horrible. Dude.
It's so bad. But it's when they have these delusional views of what the world is and how it would behave, if you allowed it to be that way. Like, if chickens or pigs or cows were the fucking dominant species on this planet, you think they'd fucking care about us at all?
No, they eat us.
Not even a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, this goes back to what we were saying before too. That goes back to how reality is subjective. If you think that way, that's cool. Live that way for yourself, but don't tell me that that's how my reality is.
Without a doubt.
That's what we were saying. Is we've never, or most people in the U.S. have never dealt with that struggle of providing for yourself. Really, like, you have that opportunity. So your reality is, I don't need to eat meat. I could go to the store and I could buy spinach and I could buy cucumbers and tomatoes and I can make a salad, or I could buy chickpeas and I could make hummus, and I can survive on those things.
I've always sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I've always said that, and I don't have a problem with it. I don't care if you're vegan, vegetarian. That's cool. I'm all for it. I draw the line when you get preachy. That's why I took the unrequited shot.
Yeah.
But
Without a doubt.
My thing is this, and I've always viewed it this way. And I'm not saying that it's a bad thing. It's a good thing that we live in a place and time now where you can have that option. But being a vegetarian is a luxury.
Yeah.
It's a luxury that we have now, because if you go back, and I'm pretty sure when I came back from Venice, what you're talking about, there was a time where if you didn't live in a region that had vegetation,
even now,
and you kill this horse, like, you're going to eat the horse or not, because otherwise you're going to die. So it's a luxury.
How many vegetarians do you think there are in fucking Siberia?
None.
Yeah. Right, exactly.
Right. It's a luxury.
It's a luxury,
which is fine. Exercise that luxury.
Yeah, I'm all for it. You can do what you want. You can eat what you want. That's fine. Like you said, just don't get preachy and don't try and push it, and don't try and create a false narrative that, animals love each other.
No, they don't.
No, they don't.
Well, I mean, they do, but not like not in that sense, not in that fantasy
not
sense.
out in nature. Like you might
Yeah,
be
it's
able
not
to,
fucking Bambi.
Yeah.
Like
You're
you know.
giving them food. Like I mean, there's a lot of cases where you grow them up in a farm, and if you give them food where they don't have to go hunt, like they're cool with each other. But if
Right.
they're out in the nature, dude, they're
No, fuck that. They'll tear each other to shreds.
And don't get me wrong, like I know that if you base your diet on a more balanced, more plant based, it's definitely really healthy for you, you know. But it gets to a certain point where it's
They're all. I mean, there's. It is to an extent. I mean, there are certain things that you're just not gonna get from a plant-based diet that you get from, you know. I mean, we are omnivores, like we are, like
Yeah.
that's what we should be. You know, our teeth fucking, you know, show us that like there are just so many things that show us this is not the best, but like probably the best. You know, you should.
Well,
be
there's
eating
some evidence that points to it being the best. That the size of our brain started growing when we came out of the trees and started
Right.
eating fucking meat.
I saw that.
So I mean,
or mushrooms.
well, yeah, that too.
But we can't take, and I mean, but we have to acknowledge that plants and vegetables are extremely healthy. for you.
Super
You know what I mean,
important.
extremely healthy for
Super
you.
important for you
You
to
know,
like. You know,
I don't
you-
think anybody's going to disagree with that. I just think it's like
Skangamite right now. He's on that. He's on that carnivore diet. Like he's
What
like
is it?
fucking
Only meat?
man.
Only meat?
Yeah.
yeah, he's
Yeah,
on the
we-
meat-only diet right now. But
These-
Effective again, though. I just saw a thing with North Korea where if you eat a cow, they'll kill you. Do you know why? Because cows, it's an agricultural country, and they don't have machinery. That cow does the work of 10 people. You kill a cow,
Wow, that makes
they'll
sense.
kill you.
Good perspective. Yeah.
So if you eat
So-
beef in North Korea, that's like fucking unheard of.
Yeah, yeah.
So I don't think the listeners could really hear us there because we got to get Steve and Mike over there. But he was talking about how in North Korea right now there are some laws where if you eat a cow, they'll kill you.
because they're labor.
Because yeah, they're better suited for doing labor than eating.
Yeah.
funny.
So a cow is in lieu of a machine that would normally do work.
No,
That's
without a
insane.
doubt. And there's, I know in my family, there's a lot of stories where when my grandparents were starving, you know, they didn't have food to feed themselves and barely any food to give to the oxes or to the cows. They were actually plowing the fields and stuff, you know. So I mean, you know, North Korea's fucking crazy, but what I'm saying is, like, you know, I kind of understand that.
What are
point
you
from
talking
that.
about? They only have 4 haircuts over there. They're perfectly sane. Everyone has to
Oh my
learn to
God,
play the
bro.
accordion, which that is fucking so goddamn crazy.
I remember seeing this video. I don't know if it was true, but it was when one of them died, the granddad or whatever the one that
Yeah,
died
yeah,
recently, and nobody wanted to stop clapping because they didn't want to be the last one. Because they fucking shot
Well,
him, bro.
so to even expand on that, there were hundreds of people thrown in jail because they weren't mourning enough. They didn't cry hard enough. They like.
Which I expect you guys to do when I go.
Yeah,
I want to party when I go.
yeah. Fuck it. I want a Viking funeral and
Yeah.
everyone just get drunk.
Hell yeah, man.
No, I want you guys to like whip people who don't mourn.
I know, right? But it's funny with the same story. My family still every year they do a thing called, well, when you translate it literally, it's called a killing. So
Awesome.
well, they
Say
call
it. Say
yeah,
it.
I
What
know,
is
right?
it?
Tell me more. I'm
La
intrigued by this.
matanza.
What?
La
One more time.
matanza. So it's called like the killing.
That's awesome.
So back in the day when they were really starving, they would take a bunch of pigs and then kill them and then set the meat up for the rest of the year. You know, so they still do it every year. And the first time I ever helped, I got to admit, man, it's not easy. You know, like a lot of people forget how hard it is to put a piece of steak on your plate. When you see another living
How easy it is to put,
pig-
yeah,
Oh, how easy, yeah,
it's
exactly.
easy to put it on your plate, but when you know where it's
When
coming
you have
from,
to do it, when you actually have to take them out, and they're screaming, and you know, you look in their eyes, like, I'm sorry, man, animals, you see there's a certain type of consciousness there.
There is,
you
yeah.
know, and it's fucking hard, man. I threw up the first time I helped, you know, because these pigs are screaming like people.
yeah.
You ever seen Forgetting Sarah Marshall?
Yeah.
When he makes him help him kill a baby, it's like, stop crying, you sound like a baby. He's like, you're a baby. That's all I can think of.
Yeah.
That movie's fucking hilarious.
Yeah, that was a good fucking movie, man.
But I mean, this is my thing about all this. You're right. That shit is hard. People lost touch with that, and I'm all for being ethical. Like, you know, I'm sure you guys, when I was in the bathroom, touched on factory farming and how ridiculous that is. I don't have a problem with people wanting to not eat meat that's from there. That's great. I'm all for that. And whatever. If you're a vegetarian, that suits your lifestyle, and you feel better because of it, by all means. You can apply this argument to everything, though. You know, same thing. You're like, hey, man, you believe in Jesus and you're a better human being for it. By all means, do it. That's your prerogative. I don't want to impinge on anybody's right to
infringe
do
on
that.
anything, yeah.
But when you start
preaching
and forcing it down other people's throats,
That's true.
that's when I get a problem with it. Like, perfect examples, you look in politics now, people want to create laws based on their religious beliefs. And it's like, hey, man,
That's
your
crazy,
God
yeah.
is not my God. I don't want to live under those rules. That's cool if you want to do it, but you cannot force other people to live
follow
your
those
reality.
rules, that's
Right.
fine. Like, you do what you want to do for yourself, for your family, like whatever you want to do, that's fine. Don't force it upon me.
Right.
I mean, that goes into like every aspect of ideology or whatever. Like,
Yeah, 100%.
even as far as like white supremacists.
Right.
Okay, that's cool. You want to think that white is the master race? Like, okay, fine. Go ahead. It's not going to affect me at all. Like, it's going to affect you and your surroundings and the people you associate with. But as long as you're not doing something harmful to someone else, like as long as it's just your idea and you want to live by that, like, okay.
There's harmful ideas, but
are they really though? Are they,
because if you start exercising it behind that's when an idea becomes harmful.
The idea is not harmful.
Well, the action behind the motivation for your action is harmful,
right? That's what I'm saying.
That's the thing about it. Like, like you were saying before, people start to create this false narratives. Like, you get the vegetarian preachers out there that believe that they're right, everybody should live that way, and they start making false claims about how the humans were not omnivores. We didn't grow evolve eating meat, and we're not supposed to. Our stomachs can't. It's like, dude, you're lying to create your narrative, and then and it spells out, like you said, to every other ideology, and it's dangerous when
you act on those beliefs.
Yeah, when people who are unable to distinguish between their ideas and what feels right for them and everyone else. You have to know that what works for you may not always work for the other person. Perspective is a motherfucker in every way, shape, and form. You don't have it right, more than likely. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think I have pretty good ideas about a lot of things. Doesn't mean I'm right, and I don't think that everybody should be forced to live under my ideas.
Absolutely, man. You know what?
But you should listen to the 6 Bar podcast. That's awesome.
That's the one thing. That's correct.
To me, the more you research or whatever you read, that you just get better questions.
Yeah,
that's all it is. Your
100%.
questions just get better. And things with religion and God and everything. Listen, man. I think Richard Dawkins touched on this. That if you were born in the West, you're going to be a Christian. If you were born in Asia, there's more likely going to be either Buddhist or Taoist.
He says the only reason why you're a white American Christian is because you were born on land.
Yeah, there you go.
If you were born in the ocean,
it's true.
Then what are you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
whatever the god of the sea is, right?
Yeah,
Poseidon.
That's it. Yeah, the Greeks.
All right.
But it's true, man.
You're right, and the more you look into things, the more you just have more questions, and it's a little bit unnerving, actually. It's like ruthless when you go down that avenue and you start questioning things and learning, and the more you start to figure out, the more you realize how much you do not know.
Yeah,
and there's so much shit that I'm pretty well versed in that I still have no idea about. And then you find something else that you've never even heard of, and it's like, what the fuck?
Exactly.
I remember when I first heard about simulation theory. I was like,
my
what
God.
the fuck?
Dude,
I worked with Steve at that point. I was obsessed for like, how long was I fucking bonkers over it? Dude, I came in like I couldn't work.
Yeah.
It's fucking amazing.
It's fucking awesome, though.
I'm still
It's
Me
so
too.
fucking
My
crazy.
son just saw the Matrix and was like, "This is crazy. Is this real?" And I was like, "Maybe."
50-50.
Right? Yeah.
Shit.
No, but it's true, man. And that's what consciousness is in general, because the things that you see are only there because, one, it reflects light, so now your eyes can pick it up, and then it does some like crazy ass, flips it from 2D to 3D, and then it goes through all these preconceived notions you have in your mind, then you see it in this little part in your head. So it went through all these processes before you see what you actually see, but all these things are just atoms.
Yeah.
And the visible spectrum,
The visual,
thing,
it's
it
just
freaks me the fuck
light
out.
bouncing off of shit, and you're
Yeah.
like, what the fuck is really going on? This
freaks
is,
me out.
you know what? It's so amazing because this is why I love you guys and I love talking with you guys, because there are so many people that will we take the power of the internet and we talk about simulation theory and we talk about fucking the history of ancient Egypt and we talk about shit, and other people are so wrapped up in social media and what fucking Caitlyn Jenner and Kylie Jenner and fucking
talk about this for hours.
Yeah, it's like wow. So you have unlimited power and knowledge in your hand, and you give a fuck about what some retard is doing across the country with a fat ass. Like
it's true, man. And like that's one of the big things that annoys me is that. Don't get me wrong. Like we all get together because I love talking about these things. I can't talk about superficial things. I just can't. My blood starts boiling. I can't fucking do it, man. I can't. Like I want to talk about things that are meaningful in life: consciousness, history, philosophy.
There's fat asses.
Fat asses.
Listen, I'm not against. Well, here's the thing. I'm not against fat asses. And I'll talk about fat asses till the fucking cows come home. But I'm not going to talk about what those fat asses.
Be easy on those cows. We just discussed them. Okay.
They'll come home and I'll fucking eat them. I don't give a shit.
Maybe that cow never left home.
No, its home's gonna be my fucking belly.
It's
like
deep,
that's.
bro. It's deep.
But yeah, like it's amazing that certain people put so much stock into what these other, famous. I'm using air quotes. Famous
word,
people, care about. It's like everyone's got their place in this world, and. You can branch out and you can, expand your consciousness and you expand your knowledge and I'm all for that. But like when some of these people who are famous or in the limelight for either a very specific thing or just for the sake of being famous, like so many, reality TV stars and shit. And we put so much stock into what they're saying. It's like, why? Why do we care what you're saying? Like, what have you done to expand your mind? What have you done to really do research? Like, you're just throwing random shit out there. It comes back to, like, professional athletes and shit like that, too. It's like, okay, cool. You can throw a football really well. Yeah. That's awesome. I don't give a fuck what your political views are. I don't care.
My mortgage, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I know, man.
Well, get back on the field and throw the fucking ball.
It's interesting. I don't remember who it was or which podcast I was listening to, but they had somebody talking about that and how it pertains to like evolutionary biology in making people famous for no reason and why everybody gives a shit is it's an evolutionary thing. It's the status thing,
right?
Because
you almost need like an idol, like
and
something to.
Not even just that, though, because humans are, we're social creatures. Mm-hmm. So you're always looking to social standards almost as a cue to yourself to know what is acceptable and what isn't. Like, I wish I could remember who's talking about this. I'm not even doing it justice, but he got into how that's what it is. As social creatures, they were talking about how it teaches babies. Like babies learn this in social interactions. Like you figure out what is acceptable and what isn't, what's considered normal and what isn't. And so it helps in developing your personality to be a social creature and adapt, because you have to be able to coexist socially. Otherwise you won't you won't be able to get jobs and things like that. So it's part of evolution and biology. That they were talking about how they did this with kids. Like you have to start socializing kids at like 2 years old. Otherwise, because everybody is this unique personality, right? Mm-hmm. But that can go off the tracks if it's not put into a social standpoint where you're going to become so much your own person that you will have zero social skills and you won't advance and you won't be able to become a normal functioning person in society. Yeah. So it's like real delicate to find that balance of keeping your personality, not getting caught up in the flock, but also knowing how to act.
Right. And you can't just be one of those people that are so dead set on their own ideas and not willing to listen to other people. You have to have that interaction with other people. Like you have to be.
You can't be so unique.
Right. Yeah. You can't be so unique that everyone else is wrong.
Not even that. Just to the point of like you just can't even exist. Like you can't coexist. You're never going to get anywhere.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like you're so unique, and your views are the only views, and you're so right that you can't coexist with other people. Everyone else is wrong.
I know.
And
well, it's not even that. You just might also be so unique and so unsocialized or whatever that you think picking your asshole in public is fine, like butt naked.
What's the problem
you know what I'm saying?
with that?
I like where you went there.
Well, hold on.
Oh yeah.
It all depends on what you look like, though. At that point.
Yeah. Everything depends on that.
Yeah.
Right?
Let's be honest. Like,
I only have one line that I draw in the sand, and that's if you initiate violence on someone. Besides that, bro, I don't give a fuck. What you believe in,
Yeah,
that's it.
That's what I was saying before. Is like you can have whatever ideology that you want. You could have whatever religious beliefs that you want. You could have white supremacist. You could be vegan. You could once you start preaching and forcing your views onto other people, and then when you take it to that next level of where you start inflicting violence upon people. That's the problem.
Yeah, that's a no-go for me.
That's really. Other than that, like I don't care. You can fucking believe whatever you want.
Yeah,
you could believe that Santa Claus is still real. Like you could believe, that Jesus is really sitting on a fucking cloud up there looking down. Even though you fly with Southwest and you go through those clouds, and you didn't run into some fucking old guy with a giant beard and white robes on, like
wasted. No, but it's true, man. It just shows you the propaganda that you get through your whole life, right? I saw this TED Talk once. And this guy was talking about how we're all just monkeys telling each other stories. And we believe these stories that we don't. So when you're younger, you believe in Santa Claus, you believe all these things. When you get older, you believe in Jesus or Buddha or whatever. And then when you get older, you believe in Democrats and Republicans. Like they're really looking out for you. They're really looking out for you. You believe these things that you really have no basis in. So the way I live my life is I don't initiate violence on anyone ever. And I have my own viewpoints because of my experiences and my demons I carry inside of me. We all have demons from childhood and shit. But besides that, man.
Talking about.
Yeah, we're all. Yeah.
Those are the guys that keep me up at night when I fucking
don't
have the
exactly,
TV on.
Exactly. But as long as you're fucking cool, man, you don't think you're the shit, and you don't bring violence on anyone. Just be.
I think the non-aggression principle is a pretty good one to
absolutely
put into every area of your life. I would be really inclined to agree with that. Unless it's necessary violence, and there's a time for that.
Absolutely.
Or unless you're in jiu-jitsu or kickboxing or something like that, then fucking put all the violence you can on people.
Well, that's the good thing about it. If you think about it, it's an outlet because we
both agree.
Creatures that need to get that out. You have to have a certain amount of that. And it's good to have that outlet, and it's good. That's the good thing about jiu-jitsu and boxing and MMA and every combat sport is that
every sport in general. Like honestly, like.
Well, they're all other imitations of violence
right,
anyway,
exactly.
all the other sports.
That's why it always throws me off, like people that don't like sports or anything like that, like at all. And you're like, what do you do? Like, how do you, like we're aggressive creatures by nature. Like, what's your outlet to that? Like,
I know it's true, man, and it's true. And to be honest, we're all still running on caveman hardwire biologically. Biologically, we still have those.
Yeah, we haven't we have not evolved past our biology yet.
That's what I'm saying. I mean,
once we do, we're going to be outside of our bodies, and we're going to be just a fucking single consciousness and floating around and
that's cool, man.
Into each other.
If we're able to take care of all the physical things, then the next step is looking inside, right? And it's like the inner space journey. But for right now, we're still running on shit that we did millions of years ago, trying to make the human race survive.
Yeah, our society and technology has evolved way quicker than we have physically and biologically.
Without a doubt.
We're still. You look at the perfect example that we can relate to, right? Men and women, relationships, and shit like that. Why?
Don't go down this road.
The oldest one, right? Nice guys finish last thing, right? The friend zone thing and all that. It's like, hey man, that's just biological. That's evolution. Mm-hmm. It's not you. It's biology. It is what it is. Women like and I air quotes, the asshole, whatever, because there's evolutionary advantages to mating with that person.
Right.
Status.
They're usually more stronger, they're more dominant. They're
They have more potential to become those things. It just is what it is. And the other thing I was saying too about sports and combat sports like this, the non-aggression principle, right? That's why I think that shit is so important. I know it's a little bit off topic, but I want to spit this out before I forgot it. There's no victims in those things. Yeah. Like you're not inflicting on violence onto somebody that's not a willing participant.
Exactly.
And I think that's big because otherwise we'd all just be going out fucking random people if they don't want to fight you. So
it's true,
which has its benefits also.
Yeah, some people just need to be taken out, right? That's some fucking assholes out there. No, but it's true, man, and that's one of the things. I know a lot of people when they talk to me about it because they'll be like, "Oh, but how do you train? How do you get around the non-aggression principle?" They just understand that we're both agreeing to it.
Right. It's mutual.
And even within that, see, that was I forget who said it. It was one of the jiu-jitsu guys. He said another reason why you build such a strong connection with some people you train with is because you have to have a lot of trust with someone. You're dealing with bones. You're dealing with, getting knocked out, whether you're doing stand-up, judo, whatever it is. And you have to trust that person that when it gets to a certain point, you're not going to go past that.
Right. You're basically putting your life in their hands.
Without a doubt.
Like
Without a doubt.
Very easily, they can choke you to death.
Yeah,
like that,
100%. You hold on too long, you got brain damage. Yeah,
Honestly,
you know what I
dude,
mean?
that's one of the reasons when my nephew was younger, I did not want to show him the rear naked choke. Because he could have, at 5, 6 years old, threw that shit on me while I let him. And if doesn't understand the consequences of it, kill me.
Yeah. No, this fuckhead just tried it out on me every single time. So D-Rock and I worked together when he first started doing jiu-jitsu, and he would literally try out every fucking new thing that he learned on me. I'm sitting at fucking Sprint trying to work, and he's like, no, check this out. And I'm like, what the fuck?
It's exciting.
Yeah, it's crazy because like I didn't realize it until like a couple of weeks later. I'm like, fuck, man, my shoulder and my neck are killing me. I don't know what the fuck I did. Like, I worked out a lot. I played sports and shit. Like, I don't remember fucking hurt myself. And then he went there to show me something else, and I'm like, oh, this is why I've fucking been in pain for the last 2 months.
Yeah. It's true.
I was excited.
Yeah, you were fucking real excited.
Bro. When you first learn a submission, when you first land that first submission, it's like a drug.
Yeah. You know what? This will make you happy. When I helped get Tommy D into jiu-jitsu, and this was about 5 years ago, but when he first started and really started going hard, he was the way I was when I first started, and I was like, holy shit. Perspective's a motherfucker. Yeah. I was like, God damn it, this is how I was.
That's why you gotta have patience, man. You gotta have patience. People who start their journey too. I mean, that's a good thing about someone who's been in the game. They understand where you're at, so you have a lot more patience with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it's funny because even my girlfriend, same thing. I come home and I'm just always wrapping her up. Always, man. It is what it is. Even people I consider close with, I'm always arm dragging.
I'm sure
playful,
Yeah, you're not letting your girlfriend hug you and get underhooks.
No,
say, not
ever,
happening,
bro.
Not happening,
Ever.
bitch. You get out of here with that shit. Dude, I used to hip escape in my sleep.
Yeah.
A girl I used to date, who actually was friends with Dee at one point. I dated her. I met her through Dee. I dated her. On more than one occasion, I woke up in the middle of the night, like readjusting myself and hip escaping, like in my sleep and knocking her off the bed.
It's true though, man.
I butterfly sweep my sheets. Like if I need to make space for my sheets and pull them up, I literally like butterfly them up and grab them.
That's awesome, man.
You know what's real funny about that is like obviously I haven't done jiu-jitsu, but some of that stuff is like just instinctual.
Yeah.
So
100%.
I was just having this conversation with somebody because I forced them to sit in a different seat when we sat at a restaurant because I will never sit with my back to the the
Dude, me and this guy, if we got anywhere, it's a battle for that every time.
Exactly.
I won't do it. And what's crazy, like, if you ever think about, or I mean, most people are like this. Some people, I guess, have evolved past it or whatever. But for the most part, like when you're sleeping in bed with a girl, you'll sleep on the outside with closer to the door.
Yeah.
As an instinctual
Absolutely.
protection thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I do the same shit.
100%.
Same thing,
Yeah,
man.
and
Always.
grappling. This, which I thought you were gonna go with, is this too? Is instinctual too. Like if you look at, like monkeys and shit and bears, they fucking wrestle. They
Oh
grapple.
yeah, oh
It's
for
like,
sure.
Little kids, they're
everything,
grappling.
dude.
It's
Like
all,
dogs,
yeah.
like they all do it. Animals do it like 100%.
That's where I thought you were going with this. At
No,
first,
I
actually.
was just making like
No, but it's
instinctual to humans, because and not that any of us really fear for a home invasion or like anything like that, but it's just so instinctual. And it was funny because I've even changed the position of my bed in different rooms, and I'll change where I sleep.
Without a doubt, man. It is what it is, man. I do the same now. You have that mindset. We were talking about before, D-Rock, that when I go out, I know where the exits are. I know where my bag is.
100%.
I watch everybody.
I watch
everybody.
Part of that, I mean, part of it's instinctual, I guess, also, but like, D-Rock and I've worked security in bars for a long time, so like, it's always like my head is always on the swivel. I'm always paying attention. I'm always looking at people who are coming in, people who are leaving. Like it doesn't stop. It's
have you had this interfere with you? Like if you're out with a girl and she thinks you're just not into her paying attention because you're scanning around. Like I'll constantly be scanning,
for sure.
Or I'll turn my head, to look behind me. And like, I've had girls be like, "What's going on?
What is wrong with you?"
Like, was your ex-girlfriend here or some shit? And I'm like, no. I've done security for a long time. I can't help it. I can't turn it off.
It's instinctual, Like it just gets so ingrained into you that.
Also, you're not interesting, so yes.
Yeah, but
exactly.
You're kind of attractive, but you're not that interesting. So I'm looking for an attractive girl that might be interesting.
Isn't that funny though, man? When you're younger, like as long as a girl looks good, you're good. But as you get older, if you don't have a mind behind that,
you gotta have it. Like, I mean, I'll still hang out with you for the night, but like, I mean, you gotta have a mind. Yeah, like if you want a second date, like you gotta have something going on there. Man. I've had that happen fairly recently a couple of times where
well, that's a new wrinkle for us is the age gap.
That's a huge thing for me. So I'll be 37 this year,
right?
And luckily I don't really look like I'm 37,
right.
And you look great for 50.
Yeah, thanks. But and then also in the line of work that we do besides our real jobs, like so we're around a lot of 22, 23, 24-year-olds and stuff like that. So I've gone on dates with like some fairly young girls that probably between 10 and 15 years younger than me, and like you look at them, you're like, oh wow, you're super hot, like cool, I'll go out with you, and then 5 minutes into the date you're like, wow, this is
nothing
brutal.
in common.
Yeah, this is brutal. When you
well,
hear the
that's what we're just talking about in play there, right? That's biology.
Yeah.
This is why women and men are wired for this, right? Younger women are attracted to older men. Yeah. Why? Because stability. They lasted this long. They probably have good genes. They have more potential for to have already accrued wealth and status and this and that.
That's why I bring a picture of Chase everywhere, so everyone knows how good my genes are.
I'll give you the great progeny. And then men,
my son is so handsome.
It's for us. It's like, okay, this young fertile myrtle right here will produce the best offspring, and potentially I may not have to rear them.
What
that's the whole hot versus beautiful.
Where it breaks for me is if I'm with someone and they say the word like too many times.
Oh God.
Bro,
well, let me.
I don't know if I'm a
like.
snob.
I hate to break this to you. Like when you re-listen to this podcast, you will find how often you say it as well. Yeah. Everybody does it. It drives me fucking crazy. I'm working on it so
me
much.
Too. I'll tell you right now, it's always something on my mind. Always.
I will tell you one of the things that really drove that point home for me was, you ever listen to Dr. Rhonda Patrick?
Yes.
On Road?
Yeah, yep.
Brilliant.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely fucking brilliant. She says like every fourth or fifth word.
Yeah, it's hard, bro.
I had to turn off 2 of her last podcasts because she just said it so goddamn much.
Because it got annoying.
Like it was like, oh my god, every fourth word or so was like, and I'm like, oh, and then like, so you gotta get the fats and like the. So I'm like,
and you can, and don't get me wrong, like you were saying that you can, because I'm critical about but I'm very critical about myself, and when it comes to that. Don't get me wrong. I know I shoot it out sometimes, but it's a lot less than I did 5 years, 10 years ago.
Oh,
It's so much less.
Likes
and ums.
Who's most impressive about that? I'm bad at the ums, too.
There it is, dog.
It fucked me up, dude, when I first started listening to the podcast. I really thought I was a lot more well-spoken than I am. Yeah.
We all do.
I do it a lot more than I'm happy about. But the most impressive person in those terms to me, Sam Harris. That guy
never. He
is the most eloquent human being on the planet. Articulate, smart, eloquently spoken, no likes, no uhs, no ums. There is no fat in that motherfucker sentence.
No,
true, man.
It's so clean and so crisp, and he just and the way that he can articulate a point to anyone. Yeah, it's amazing. His speech pattern is.
It just shows you the power of language.
Yeah.
You know who another person like that is too? Is Jordan Peterson. I'm very impressed with how
I was about to say
he's more towards what Yarbrough's point just made, how he can articulate his points on anything and make it digestible to almost anybody. Yeah. It's very, very impressive. What Einstein says that if you don't really understand something until you can make something complicated simple. Yeah, exactly. And Now, I'm an idiot then.
We all are, bro. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
We all are, dude. But it's true, man. If you can't explain it simply to a 5-year-old, you don't understand it.
Right.
Yeah.
You know? And that's just anything. Even now, when I coach my soccer teams, I break everything down so simple, and it lets me understand it better. You know?
Teaching makes you better.
Oh, without a doubt. Even with jiu-jitsu, it's helped so much. It's helped so much. Because now you have so many different personalities that there isn't one size fits all for this. There has to be that each person is an individual, so they individually learn differently.
Right.
So now you have to, even as simple as an armbar, how to do an armbar from the mount. You know what I mean? One person might not get it, but you have to learn how to explain it 30 different ways for 30 different people.
And that's the other thing to me that's beautiful about jiu-jitsu, is that it's not wrong if you can make it work.
As long as you make it work, dude, it's right.
There's, like you said, it's not one size fits all. There's certain technical concepts that remain the same, but the mechanics of it are never wrong if you can make it work. Your body type is very different than mine. So the way you arrive at a triangle and I arrive at a triangle could be miles apart. And it might not. I might do it the way you didn't teach or never thought of, but it's not wrong because if you can make it work, it's correct. And I always tell my students that. I'm like, hey, man, if you can make it work, it's not wrong.
Exactly. That's exactly it, man. Exactly.
Even stand up, I'm starting to see that more. We were going over some stuff last night that I really almost, if you would have 5-10 years ago told me about this, I'm like, this is some hocus pocus bullshit.
Well, that's. I feel like that's a lot of different things. So you could even equate it to any other sport. So like you look at, so take baseball for example. You look at people's batting stances. There are people that you look at their batting stance, you're like, what the that doesn't work. How the fuck do you do that? Like you can't do that. And then they hit 40 home runs in the year.
Absolutely.
Same thing like stand up. You look at certain people with Wonder Boy is a great example. Like his hands are usually down. Like he's got a very odd stance, and sometimes like how he gets strikes off. Like they're effective, but you almost couldn't teach that to someone else because it's so unique, like to them specifically, that you want the end results. Like you're teaching the end result. How you get to that point is kind of up to you a little bit.
There's a lot of unorthodox fighters, even in the UFC, the highest level of the game. That just it works for them.
Yeah, they find a way.
You look at 2007, right, to 2009ish in MMA. There used to be a shirt that a lot of people had that said, "Your kung fu's no good here." Right?
Kung fu.
Back then, and this is 10 years ago, 10, 12, 13 years ago, whatever. There was this idea that everything
traditional martial arts
didn't have a place, and that there was this, like, we had kind of hit the pinnacle of what things are. And now, Wonder Boy's the perfect example of that.
Wonder
He's
Boy,
traditionally
Cheetah,
trained
you
karate guy.
Guys,
He's got the karate stance. He integrated it very well. Now, every art, there's not one art that's fully complete. Every art has holes in it.
Yeah.
Yep.
But that's what's great about MMA is you can take what works from Taekwondo, from karate, from this, from that, and
from
blend
jiu-jitsu,
it,
from wrestling.
yeah,
It doesn't
and
matter.
integrate it. And even it shows you how short-sighted MMA was back then.
Yeah.
Even with us, and with the openness of it's mixed martial arts, but there was like the whole that shit doesn't work.
Yeah. Well, you look at the beginning of it, and it was BJJ was the pinnacle. It was that Hoist Gracie could beat everyone, and then a wrestler came in and stuffed him and like changed the game, and then it was wrestling was it, and then it's an ever evolving thing. It's
And that's why you can never drink the Kool-Aid with any art.
Nope, no.
Yeah, and that's the thing is that as these things get added, they become staples. Back in that time, nobody knew jiu-jitsu. That's why it was so effective.
Yeah.
Now, if you're an MMA fighter, you know jiu-jitsu.
Unless you're
everybody.
At least how to defend
Right.
it.
Yeah. Wow, burn. But yeah, that's now you're forced into knowing those things, and now you're starting to see like hybrids of at least on the feet anyway. You see these hybrids of the traditional striker who has got a blend of that like karate type stance, and I've been noticing guys like Barboza and Pettis starting to blend that hybrid style. When you look at Dominic Cruz now, his footwork was
It's crazy.
Years ago, everyone's like everything he does is wrong, but he makes it work. Now you see guys with that style refining it, and that first started with the grappling. You started to see you had the jiu-jitsu guy, then you had the wrestler. Now you're seeing guys blending both arts beautifully and seamlessly to where now the way I look at it, 2007, I wanted to be a jiu-jitsu black belt. Now I want to be a grappling black belt. I want to be a black belt in grappling because they're all the same.
Yeah, you have to take the fundamentals from each of them, and then you refine and you grow. Like it's even taking aspects of judo, taking aspects of you're taking so many different things, and you're almost creating something new.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Sorry.
No, go ahead, man.
Yeah, it's all grappling. That's the thing.
Yeah.
If you're only a jiu-jitsu player, you're missing things, and if you're only a wrestler, you're missing things, and if you're only a judo guy, you're missing things. Yeah. So if you can blend some judo, some wrestling to your jiu-jitsu, you're just that much better. When I started focusing a lot more on my wrestling, my jiu-jitsu jumped a ton.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Oh yeah. It's you got to be. With anything in life, you got to be well-rounded, right? I heard something years ago that made a lot of sense. You could apply this to just life. Specialization is for insects.
Yeah, yeah, it's true, man. Especially with fighting. With fighting, it's learning how to use your whole human body to its fullest potential. So so now when you mix.
Like, what about your bionic arm? That's not your human body.
That's the future.
I'm just saying, be specific here.
But no, but that's that's what, to me, when I look at fighting. You go back in the day, and fighting came from warfare, right? Warfare was how to take out your opponent. Later, buddy. You take out your opponent as fast as possible, and you come from the back in the day that had it was specified all their arts. But in my opinion, my humble opinion, obviously, guys, is fighting. You have to learn how to use your whole body to the maximum. So you have to blend all these things together. 100%. You have to, dude, or else what are you there for? Right. Even me, like jiu-jitsu is I love jiu-jitsu. It's in my soul. But I know that in a fight, if it was life and death, I have to mix everything that I've learned in my life. It's not just jiu-jitsu. Maybe I don't want to be on the ground when there's 30 guys around me. They're stomping my head out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Maybe, in jiu-jitsu in that case, a good knee on, if I can take someone down, good knee on belly, a couple shots, my head is up, I can see what's going on, and then I'm up and ready to fight and get the fuck out of there.
Right. And that's why it's like what you said before. It's in all aspects, you have to have an open mind, an open approach to things. So otherwise, how do you figure those things out? And I think it's, like I agree. I love jiu-jitsu. It's a part of me. Jiu-jitsu changed my life. Without jiu-jitsu, I don't know what I'd do. Oh, yeah. And I love jiu-jitsu. I love the purity of it, even when you're practicing it just jiu-jitsu. It's great.
Yeah.
But it's good to be exposed to reality and see different things. It's good to start on your feet with a wrestler who can dump you on your head. It's good to get on top and realize where you could punch somebody in their face when they're doing something in jiu-jitsu that's not an advantageous position. It's good to have those experiences, and it makes you better. And it also leads to adaptation. When I started doing MMA and incorporating striking to my grappling, it didn't diminish my jiu-jitsu. It made it better.
Oh yeah.
You learn how to use your hips better. You learn how to cover better and defend better and move with that like urgency and shit like that. Man. And all that stuff makes you better. It's good to get exposed to those things.
And then you start learning, like Danaher was talking on the Rogan podcast, how important control is in a fight. Control is everything. It's the most important thing. And then you start breaking it down into. So even now, like if you come to my class, obviously, you teach specific moves, but I try to teach principles. What it is. Where is concepts? Where is your opponent generating his power to do damage to you? Where do you have the control that then set things up to do on your own? And when you start breaking fighting down like that, whether it's stand up, it's grappling, or it's takedowns, it always comes to the same thing. Where's his power? Where's yours? And how can you negate it to control the fight?
100%.
And I mean that's just my opinion, though.
No, I think you're right. I mean, that is the whole concept of a fight. Right, obviously winning the fight, but how do you achieve that? By controlling the other person. Yeah. So you have to figure out the most effective way to control the person as a whole, right? That's what a fight is. But when you get granular on that, right, you break it down to, okay, we're on the feet. What do I have to do to control this person? I have to control my distance and theirs. I have to control this limb and that limb, right? I have to angle myself this way and that way. On the ground, okay, depending on where you are, you have to control their torso, their legs. And like if you get into like what Danaher was getting at is he breaks that down even further to where it's like, okay, my end goal is to attack and isolate his left arm with my whole body. I'm going to isolate one portion of his body with the whole of mine, and that will be what wins the fight. But that's the path. That's the how do you arrive there? How do you get there? That's what all these techniques in there for and these concepts. And you have to be constantly applying them in a shifting dynamic situation.
That's how I approach sex.
How do I get inside?
I'm going to use my whole body to attack.
It's in. Checkmate.
Hopefully she won't laugh at me. Exactly. No, but it's true, man. You know, in the fighting thing, fighting's such a primal thing. It's such a fucking primal thing. Sex, exactly. You know, all these primal things, man. And they all kind of correlate, you know, because if you stay alive long enough, you'll fucking have a good amount of sex.
Well, not everyone.
everybody.
Oh, not everyone.
Yeah, it's true.
Some people are just unfortunate.
Yeah, I was one of them when I was young. I was very unfortunate. I was not a ladies' man in my younger days.
Compared to now?
I've been having a lot
I'm
of
still
sex
not
for,
I'm still not
the
a
better
ladies'
part
man.
of 2 decades. So.
Well, that's a whole science by itself, man, hooking up. You know, there's a psychological, physical aspect to it.
All right, hold on. We're an hour and 52 in already. I don't think we got to save that for the next podcast. That could be an entire podcast on its own.
Oh, without a doubt.
We'll be here until fucking 2 o'clock in the morning.
That could not be just. That could be more than just.
Series.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, you know what I noticed, man, and I've noticed it a lot more since I've been doing jiu-jitsu, is that everything's technique. Even when I get a fucking haircut, I'm like, that's some nice technique, dude. That's
True. It really is.
Everything is technique. Everything has a purpose behind it.
Yeah, and you know, I mean, again, not that I've started jiu-jitsu yet, but just in, you know, specializing in certain things and like becoming focused on certain things, you start to appreciate.
Oh yeah.
Those techniques, like, you know, I've been building a lot of shit lately, like, you know, a lot of woodworking and stuff, and in doing that and refining my skills, like, I start to appreciate exactly that, like, you know, a haircut, like a barber, like the technique and the skill that they you know put forth in it, or a mechanic or whatever it may be. Like, you stop and like you really look and you're like, wow, like you've mastered your craft. It's fucking amazing.
And when you find someone who's mastered something, it's at least for me, bro, it's a lot of respect.
It's literally an art. It's an art. Whatever they're doing, it's so amazing and like mesmerizing. It's funny. Like, you ever watch a show? What is it? How things are made, or how it's made?
Yeah, like on Discovery Channel.
Yeah, on Discovery Channel. Yeah. Sometimes I get myself fucking sucked into that kind of show and stuff, and I'm like, wow, that's just so impressive. And there's another one that I know exactly where you're going. Forge and Fire. So there's a show called Forge and Fire on the History Channel, and it's awesome. It's about blacksmithing. So it's basically you know, Chopped or Top Chef or whatever kind of show you want to talk about that's similar to that. It's about blacksmithing.
Okay.
And D-Rock and I have literally got sucked into, I think it was on Thanksgiving. We watched it. I'm going to say 8 straight hours, probably something like that. If not even longer.
I think it went like 2 weeks past that where we kept watching.
Well, we kept on watching, but that specific day.
We watched the watch.
We watched 8 or 9
8
hours.
to 12 hours, I'd say.
Yeah,
we watched this.
He
had it on, so,
I'm not
you know.
trying to make us sound like fucking complete losers.
Yeah, we all do it, bro. Netflix shows, you know, we all do it.
Dude,
Netflix is the worst.
It was on, and you know, Yarbs and I lived together, and it was on, and neither one of us had anything going on for Thanksgiving this year, so we were like, yo, well, let's just hang out and, you know, order pizza and fucking veg out, you know. He had it on, and I was like, bro, what are we watching right now? And he's like, it's actually kind of cool. And I'm like, blacksmithing, bro, for real? Like, and then, you know, you sit down.
3 episodes in, 4
and
episodes in.
And I'm like,
no, don't turn it off now.
I was hooked. And I'm like, dude, this is crazy. Like
we were talking about, like, getting a forge and a blacksmith. Like, to the point, like, it's fucking happening.
Yeah, and it's like you said, it made the master of that made me really appreciate it. I was like,
so
holy
impressive,
shit, man! Like, I couldn't give a fuck about blacksmithing before the show. Now I'm like, yo, these are bad motherfuckers.
Like, well, they make it look easy where you think you can do it. That's what true.
I didn't think for a second I could do that.
Yeah, but still,
I want to
even like
try.
when you watch any sport or something, you're like, I can.
Sports are the worst.
Look how easy that looks. I could do, you know, but you understand, like,
I was really impressed. I was like, damn, this is some like
the pinnacle of sports. Like, looking at sports and going, I could do that, is place kicking in the NFL.
Yeah.
Like you look at that, you're like, what the fuck? I could do that
can
shit.
kick that
I can
shit.
kick that fucking
Yeah.
ball. Like, come on now.
Yeah,
and then you're like,
exactly,
oh,
bro.
there's 80,000 people standing around, like watching me do this. Oh, and then the 200 million at home watching it on TV.
And that's
Laces out, Dan.
Yeah. That's a crazy thing with sports, whether it's fighting or any other sport, is that when it's game day or it's fight day, you're at 70% of what you're capable of because the crowd, the music, whatever it is, the noise, everything. Dude.
I've had this conversation several times. It might have been about a year ago. I got into a heavy discussion with a friend of mine. It turned almost a little.
Violent?
No, I can't think of the word.
Sexy.
I can't think of the proper adjective, but it got a little chippy, I guess.
Okay.
He was a martial artist when he was younger. He did some more of the traditional martial arts, and we were talking, and he started kind of going off about things that I disagreed with him about, and he started going off about the way I was trained was different. It's a mindset that when if you're being attacked in the street, I'm going to hurt you. It's just different. You don't understand the mindset. I was like, no, I do actually. I was like, look, I've been doing this for a long time, and I've applied it. I'm like, do you really think that you're going to apply some of these techniques that you learned 15 years ago that you haven't practiced? That honestly, to be honest with you, these
Katas.
disabling techniques, you're going to poke this person in the eye, you're going to do this, you're going to do that, it's going to disable them. Do you really believe that you're going to be able to recall how to do these after being out of practice for a while and then under the stress of a real life violent encounter? I was like, dude, it's not going to happen. I'm like, I've tested my abilities both inside the ring in a controlled environment, because that was one of the arguments. He was like, yeah, but you're in there, it's like a sport, there's a ref. I'm like, right, that's fine. But I've tested my abilities in that arena, and I've tested them also on the street. I've been a bouncer for 10 years. Do you know what I'm saying? And the truth of the matter is, in both of those arenas, whether there's one with a ref and there's two willing combatants, or it's a street encounter, the stress of the situation can diminish your abilities.
Sure, 100%.
And when the lights are on and when it matters, you're just not going to be as sharp as you think. And they do studies on this. I think it was Sam Sheridan who was talking about this, how they have this whole color-coded zone for stress responses and what it does to your nervous system, how it deteriorates your sight, your nervous system. If you get super nervous and try and put a key in a lock.
Yeah.
You can't control your hands and shit.
Absolutely,
You know what I mean?
man.
So it's like that performance anxiety is real.
Absolutely.
And I said to him, hey man, you've been to some of my fights. I'm like, that's not 100% of what I'm capable of. Most of my fights, I always felt like I underperformed, even the ones I won, because I had performance anxiety. Now, obviously, the more you do things, the better you get. And some people are just better than others at it.
Yeah,
but
some
I
people
had
rise to that occasion.
Yeah.
Like they actually do better.
shout out
in
to
that-
Jeremy Puglia.
Yeah.
He's that guy. Jeremy is better when the lights are on, because we've been in the gym with that guy sometimes. I'm like, damn. But when the
You
lights
get
are on,
fucked up,
that
son.
motherfucker does it.
He had a great fight, man.
Yeah, but he's the perfect
Beat
example of
that
that.
ass.
That kid is built for under the lights. Now me, I had to work very hard to find comfort in performing in that atmosphere.
Absolutely.
There was not one fight. I had all told, I had 10 fights, and there's not one of them where I wasn't in the back getting my hands wrapped, going like, I'm not doing that shit again.
Gotta go to the bathroom.
Yeah, I'm like the stress is unbelievable.
Yeah,
They're literally, I cannot think of a single fight where I was like, what am I doing right now? Like, what am I doing?
The same shit. The few stand-up fights I did in my career was fucking crazy. And then the street fights too.
Well, that's the real crazy part is is being able to I give you guys credit for being able to I guess quell those desires and not completely lose it, because
that's the hard part.
Not going into complete fight or flight mode, because if you really think about it, especially if you have had training and you're in that position, you're like, no, fuck, I'm gonna headbutt this guy. I'm gonna fucking I'm gonna crush through
I
if
don't
you
know.
get to that point of so amped up and so where you're really on your instincts and your
Yeah,
survival instincts.
The worst part I've ever had was in my youth. All right, youth, because we're fucking getting old now. I've had a couple of instances where I was rolling around in the wrong crowd, and there was some serious fights where I didn't know if I was gonna fucking die or not. Right?
Yeah.
There's weapons involved and all this shit, and just the way your nervous system acts when it's over, it just shows you, because while I was in it and I had to defend myself, dude, you're at, like we were saying before, 50%. Like I'm just reacting off, and then when it was over, it was like, thank God, and I'm shaking.
Yeah.
You're fucking shaking. And that,
That adrenaline dump,
Dude.
that shit is real. Dude.
It is.
I've been in
I
some-
experienced that so hard in my first jiu-jitsu competition. It was insane, man. And jiu-jitsu is like, it's low stakes in terms of like,
it's not like
you're
MMA.
not getting a concussion.
Yeah,
you
exactly.
could get hurt, but like, but the first time I ever competed, I was like, holy shit, this is
too, bro.
insane.
Yeah.
I couldn't feel my forearms. Everything. I was
Couldn't move 'em.
dead.
Yeah,
and it's like, yo, this is way different.
Dude, it's
rolling in
real.
the gym, and it's
because it's
Like-
a controlled environment. Yeah.
Like I've been bouncing fucking way longer than you. I hate to even fucking admit it, but fucking 17 years. Like,
Shit, really?
yeah, dude.
Damn.
19, I started fucking bouncing.
Shit, man.
So I've been in some shit, like real shit, and during it, fine, no problem. I'm
Afterwards.
whatever is in my genetics, like I'm okay with that. Like in the, in that fight moment, I'm fine.
Yeah.
I've been in, squared up, me and 3 people with 25 people. I'm
with it.
good. I deal with it. Afterwards, fucking hand shaking, feel like I'm gonna throw up. I'm like,
dude.
what the fuck? I'm already done. Like, we beat those kids up. Like, fuck, it's over. They're all getting arrested. We're fine. Like, I'm back at work. Like, and hand shaking. Like, yo, I need 5 minutes to fucking.
Dude,
like,
you know what's
relax.
funny, man? Since because of D-Rock and Sam, and I've bounced a couple times with these guys, and it's talking about this shit just to get off topic a little bit. Is
How
you realize?
dare you? I was there also.
Yeah, well, I said you guys, yeah. But I mean, do you realize how fucking annoying people can be?
Oh,
when
yeah,
they're drunk, dude. Like, it's just. I'm a very sociable person.
Yeah.
It comes from my culture. It's just very open, But when you're bouncing, dude.
Sometimes
Like,
you're just
how the
like,
fuck? What the fuck's wrong with these people? Like, how can they cannot control their liquor? Even when I get wasted, I'm not that rude.
No,
You know what I
there are
mean?
some people that
Oh,
just
my God.
they can't control it. Like, I've had this conversation with a lot of people about, being that I've been bouncing for so long. Like, I was, underage, drinking a lot of bars and stuff because I worked there, and I'm like, I've never at this at any point gotten so drunk, and I've, unfortunately, like, I'll admit it, like, there's been like times where I've been on like a 2-month bender, like, because
Right.
I'm like 19 or 20 years old and like getting paid to work in these high end bars and clubs and shit like that, and like I'm like, all right, cool, I'm just gonna drink every day, like, that was just the way it was. I'm like, I don't ever not remember any point of that. Like, I remember all of it. Like, I
Right.
had control of my mental facility the entire time, and there are so many people that lose it on a regular Thursday night.
Yeah,
And I'm
yeah,
I
like,
think
yeah.
that
What
the
the
difference
fuck?
is, and I think this ties into what we were speaking about prior. I think it kind of ties into the whole theme of what we've talked about tonight, where who you really are, kind of thing, like even in jiu-jitsu and whatever. I also think there's a second layer of that. I think people subconsciously give themselves permission to run it off. Like, they know, okay, I'm drinking, and this is going to be my reason.
right.
I have a reason why I acted so ridiculous. They automatically have made that decision, subconsciously, consciously.
It's their
but,
automatic scapegoat.
Yeah, they give themselves that permission to be ridiculous because they know, oh, I was just drunk, I was partying. It's like, we are different. I don't think we're a little bit more introspective. We're constantly analyzing ourselves. And we don't let ourselves off the hook in those terms. I think
never.
We kind of have a certain expectation of ourselves where we don't do that.
There are so many people that will use that as an excuse to things that they said, things that they did.
Yeah.
Oh, I was drunk.
Yeah,
No. Like, you being drunk, your inhibitions are gone.
Yeah.
So you're doing what you actually want to do.
Yeah, how you feel.
Right now is the bullshit.
Yeah.
Right now is the
representative.
falsity of what. Yeah, of you. Oh shit! I got in trouble. I did some dumb shit. Now I have to apologize. When you were drunk, you were doing what you
That's
actually
what you really
wanted
meant.
to do.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
you
That
meant
you never
to
had
say
the
that.
courage to say
Yeah,
that.
exactly. Like
I'm gonna hit the most basic bitch quote in the world, and I'm gonna hate myself for it, but it's true. You know, basic bitch. A drunk mind speaks a sober heart. But it's fucking true.
It's so it's
Yeah,
it's
oh, yeah.
100% true. It's 100% true. Like, you know, I've dealt with a lot of different people, you know, over my life, like where, you know, you try and talk to them after that drunk night, and they're like, "Oh, I didn't mean it. I was drunk." No. That's you don't mean right now.
Yeah.
When you were drunk, you fucking said what you meant.
There's no
Like,
filter.
Yeah, there's no filter.
Yeah.
You don't have that conscious like, oh, you know what? I might hurt this person's feeling. Like I need to rein this back.
Exactly.
You said what you meant, and
Yeah.
like you meant what you said.
Absolutely.
Probably for the first time in your fucking life,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
like you need to own up to that now. Like, and so many people are just.
And that's the thing, man, because we're all carrying around so much baggage from just a life full of shit. But then the alcohol, I don't know what it does, man. I don't know what it does. And it's not just from the couple times I bounced with you guys. It's just in general. Like when people get drunk, I can't fucking stand it. Like,
Sometimes it turns into demons.
Bro,
yeah,
they come
alcohol is
out.
one of the
Come out.
rare drugs that.
It's a good thing and a bad thing. Like
Yeah.
you know, like we've talked about like on previous podcasts. Like it's like a social lubricant.
Yeah.
You know, it will get people talking and get people interacting and mingling with people that they might not normally interact with or mingle or even open up and come out of their shells. But there's that real fine line where
It goes-
they
it goes
switch
wrong.
and it
Yeah,
goes
yeah.
south
Hell yeah.
real fucking quick.
Because alcohol's awesome, man. When I'm drunk, I fucking love everybody.
Everybody, bro.
I can
I'm
talk to
hugging
anybody
people.
about
Well,
anything.
shit,
You
that's
know how many
most
people
people.
I've run into, over
Yeah.
the, you know, drunk,
what
and you're
the
like,
fuck?
yo, this person's awesome. Yo, we should hang out. We should hang out. And then
yeah.
once you're sober up, you're like, I ain't hanging out that long. But like, you know, drunk, it's awesome. Every level you get on that wavelength.
He loves everyone except when he drinks whiskey.
Oh, whiskey, I heard, yeah. Whiskey and tequila. Whiskey, I'm always, yeah,
No, tequila,
too.
I'm fine.
Yeah?
Whiskey. Well, tequila is funny because it's the only alcohol that's a non-depressant. It's a stimulant.
Really?
It's the only one. It's so weird. I don't know why, but like it's scientific fact. It's
Tequila
the
doesn't get me crazy though. I can drink all tequila.
Whiskey does?
I can
Whiskey
get
makes
crazy,
me-
but like in a fun way. Like tequila is usually a fun drunk. Like I said, it's an upper. It's not
Yeah.
a downer. So like usually people will be their inhibitions will be gone, but they're instead of being self-destructive, they're
Yeah.
more happy. They're like, okay, you want to have a threesome? Yeah, sure. Yeah. You know, you're like, okay, yeah, cool. This is awesome. Fucking drink more of that. Most other alcohols are, it's like, oh, fuck you, I hate you.
Yeah, do something, man. For me, it's I'm the same way. I have one of my pet peeves is making sure. I don't know if it's a pet peeve, but I want everybody that's around me to feel comfortable.
Yeah.
And like without using the word too gayish, like love, like where they
Yeah,
feel
yeah,
part of
no,
the group,
it's-
And when I see someone acting like that, where they just assholes, like I don't, it just does.
It
something,
turns you
man.
real bad, yeah. Like
Real bad,
it's-
dude.
it
Real
can-
bad. Because it's so easy to be polite and courteous.
Yeah,
When
it's not hard.
it's not hard,
It's
dude,
not hard.
especially if no one's doing anything to you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, it's so easy to be polite.
Let things go.
It really is, man.
But yeah, this guy, fucking whiskey though, is
Oh yeah.
Dude, I don't know
It's-
why. I just.
I kind of want to have an
Demons come out.
experiment. Like I wanna give it a shot. Like one night, like we'll just whether it be at the house or maybe we'll go out. Like
Yeah, I don't know if I want to participate.
yeah, no, you don't have a choice. Like,
So
it's-
what's the limit though? How much whiskey? Before
No,
the
it
game's
doesn't
done?
matter.
Doesn't matter. Just one shot.
it's
One
not-
shot of whiskey. If I do, although I have done a little bit of a test actually, if I haven't drank and I do one shot of whiskey, I'm fine. But if I've already been drinking and I touch whiskey,
Sets it off.
It's
So
over.
if I want to find out how you really feel about me, I gotta fucking get you wasted whiskey.
No, because it's
No,
not.
because he gets angry.
I hate
Like, it's-
everybody
it's-
on
It's
whiskey.
angry. It's not.
I've never seen you wasted on whiskey.
You know what
bro.
though? It's
Because I don't drink
it's not completely. You know what though?
Because it's bad when I do.
I'm sorry. It's not. You're not completely angry, but your filter. Like you have no filter
I don't have a filter when I'm drunk, period. But
probably
like,
get
No,
laid a lot,
no,
though.
no, no,
whiskey,
no,
for
it's-
some
it's
reason,
different.
whiskey makes me like
Well,
aggressive
well,
and
I was
angry.
gonna say you have no filter and you have a short.
I said cheese on my cheeseburger. motherfucker.
Whatever it is, I don't know. Honestly, dude, I don't know what it is about whiskey, but for like, dude, when I'm drunk, if I'm not drinking whiskey, I'm happy. I'm hugging everybody. I'm like the life of the fucking party sometimes.
But,
you know?
but whiskey, you're happy too until like you have a very short fuse. Like it's happy, and then someone stepped on you, kick.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm like that a little bit in general. Like even without whiskey, with what I'm drinking. If I'm drinking, I haven't been drinking whiskey, and somebody gets me mad, I'll be pissed off until I'm sober. There's no coming back. Right. If I'm drunk and happy, I'm happy. I love everybody. But the second something goes wrong and I'm angry, and if I'm drunk, you will not get me unangry. Drunk. Unless you're sucking my dick, and I'll probably still be mad. But with whiskey, not only so if I'm drunk but no whiskey and I get angry, I'll just be angry, whatever. I won't be aggressive and violent. If I drink whiskey and then I get angry, I'm aggressive, violent, and destructive.
I want to do a case study.
Yeah, we're
I don't
gonna
know
do
what
this. But just so you know, in our experiment, no, I'm not blowing you.
That will never happen, bro.
Never happen. No matter how much whiskey either one of us drink.
I don't know what it is, man. I don't have.
It's not just you, man.
We're gonna experiment. Yeah, no, whiskey is a thing, and for a lot of people, specific whiskey, like Jack Daniels is one that's it's a big thing for people. Like they drink Jack and they get angry.
Yeah.
I don't really understand it. Like, I mean, I drink anything and it doesn't really affect me. But
no.
Yeah, no Scotch. It's
I
still
can't
whiskey.
drink Scotch.
It's still whiskey.
Anything for the most
Scotch,
part that's
bourbon,
brown.
whiskey. It's all rye.
I can't drink that shit.
I'll drink that shit all fucking day and all night.
There's a funny story to be told about this, about how this was discovered.
Was it the night of the nutty?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was.
I was
funny.
young. I was 21, I think.
Maybe.
Me and my ex-girlfriend had broken up, and it was not a very cool breakup.
No.
I was real upset about it. And so now let me paint this picture, and everybody's probably had this, right? She used to always tell me about guys that she worked with that would like hit on her and shit like that. And then when we broke up, some other shit had gone on, and of course, like, your pride takes a little bit of a shot. She's like already dating some other dude or whatever, and and in this case, particular case, it was extra salty on me because it was a childhood friend of mine who sort of took advantage.
You're being real discreet with this right now, bro.
I don't care. So it was a kid named Justin Silvers.
There it goes. I was waiting for names, dog. I was waiting for names. There it is.
There's this kid that I knew.
He,
and his name was
we
Justin Silver.
were
This is his
childhood
address.
friends. We were childhood friends, not the greatest friends, but we knew each other. And he came into the pizza place I worked at and was like, catching up on old times. I bought him pizza, and he's like, "Yo, your girlfriend's been over the house because her brother was dating her best friend and this and that." And I'm like, "Yeah, man, we're still kind of working it out. We're trying to get back together, trying to figure out what's going on." And like, I kind of kicked him the whole deal and told him everything was going on. And little did I know, he took that information and used it to his advantage to start fucking my girlfriend. So, needless to say, I was pretty pissed off.
I was about to say.
So, we're out the Nutty Irishman hanging out, and I see
I'm working at the time.
he's working, and I see dudes that she used to work with because she used to work in Bayshore. And she's telling me about this one guy who used to always hit on her and shit. So I was just like already in a bad mood, and I'm like, dude, I'm gonna start some trouble tonight. And everyone's like, dude, just relax, drink. And Butch, our friend Butch, is like, bro, come on, just hang out. He was off that night. He worked there too. He's like, dude, just come on, just drink with me. You'll be fine. And
Butch drinks a lot of whiskey.
Butch drinks a lot of whiskey.
Oh shit.
So they start feeding me whiskey, and I went off the fucking rails, dude.
Lost it. Like, running up and down the bar, basically. Like, just fucking... There was no stopping him. There was no... And the funny thing was, like, the girl that I was dating at the time, who's an NYPD cop, doesn't really know him. I think met you maybe once before.
No, I think you introduced me to her that night.
It might have been that night. Like... goes into cop mode. Like, let me try and diffuse the situation. It's like fucking talking to him, and
Nothing.
Didn't even matter who the fuck you. Get the fuck out of my way. She's like, I'm a cop. She's like, I don't fucking care.
So how did it end? What happened?
Man, so
We got him out.
yeah, I don't remember. Everything was a little spotty, but I do remember. I do remember him
It was fucking
introducing.
hilarious.
He introduced me to the cop. She was like talking to me. And I don't remember exactly what, but I just remember looking at him like, "Who the fuck is this?" I was like, "Get this bitch away from me!" Like,
Right.
you know. And then I think I went after the kids a few times. And
But not in like it was a semi-aggressive way that he went after the kids. Like
Right.
not like a real. I mean, at this time you have to also remember this was D-Rock pre
Training.
jiu-jitsu and pre all that, any kind of really martial arts training.
yeah,
So
I was just mad.
Yeah, he was just mad.
I wasn't really much of a threat. I was just angry. So I remember they dragged me out back, and I'm out in that back parking lot. I don't know if anybody's familiar with Bayshore and the Net Irishman. They had like a huge back parking lot, and a door or two down, there was a bar that is now TJ Finley's, but used to be called Mighty Quinn's.
Yeah.
So I was back out there causing a ruckus.
Just fucking
it was like
fuming.
You know those like the steel garbage cans that were like the mesh type material, but they were steel.
Right.
I was picking those up and throwing them at cars, and just being a dick. And the bouncers from there came outside, and were about to fuck me up.
Right.
And I was all pissed off. I was like, "Let's go, bitches!"
Right.
And I started talking shit to like a bunch of bouncers, and they were about to fuck me up. And Yarbrough
Luckily,
and Butch,
the bigger bouncers
Yeah.
were like, "Yo, hey."
yeah, they came out. The
Slow roll.
nutty bouncers, Yarbrough and Butch came out. They're like, "Go back inside, you fucking idiots!" Like,
Yeah.
we got this or whatever. So I almost started a fight between the bars, and I think it ended with me out front throwing up into one of the garbage cans. And,
It was fucking great.
yeah, I don't remember how I got home, but it was bad. And I didn't know. I didn't know at that point whiskey was the catalyst because I just thought I was pissed off. I had a bad night and I was just drinking. But there was another time where I was fine. I was happy-go-lucky and let's do some whiskey. And I did a shot of whiskey, and all of a sudden,
So no whiskey for you, dude.
I
We're gonna do this.
I was about to say one day we should.
These
try
fucking
this out.
cocksuckers kept it up for years, bro. We would be out places
Today,
drinking,
we still try and do
and
it.
they'd be like, "Yo, let's get a whiskey." I'm like, "You're supposed to be my friends." I'll
we
never
are your
forget.
friends. I love you.
On my birthday, like 7-8 years ago, all the bouncers from the casino went over to Ocean Beach.
Right.
And we're fucking getting drunk, and I'm talking to this girl, like kicking it to this hot chick, and everybody fucking just, we're gonna do shots. I'm like, cool. Butch comes over and gives me a shot. I'm like, psh, I chug it down. I'm like, fucking whiskey, bro. I literally ran outside of Hauser's, pulled the trigger, stuck my fingers down my throat, and puked everywhere to get that shit out of my system, and went back inside with my disgusting ass mouth and breath, and was like, back to the chick, like, hey,
What happened?
I sealed the deal.
You seal the deal?
Yeah, but I remember I was like, "What the fuck?" Like, he's like, "This is whiskey." I'm like, "You're a cocksucker, man. Like, you're supposed to be my friend. It's my birthday, and I'm trying to get laid."
We are your friend. We'll make sure you get laid. It's fun.
Shit,
You know?
man.
So-
That's some good game though. If you're still fucking hooked up with that.
I don't think
with
it
that
was.
potty
I
mouth.
just fucking. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how to explain that one.
Isn't it funny?
Actually, no, I do know how to explain that one. The only reason why I think it worked out is because the night before, I'd hooked up with a girl who was working at the casino and came with us, and I guess thought like it was going to be a thing. So she was kind of still trying to hang around me, and this other girl saw it
Oh yeah.
and was like, "Oh,
Signal.
okay."
No. Oh, he's a desirable mate. Guess what? I'm fucking taking him.
Yeah, that's pretty
Fuck you,
much. I
bitch.
think that's the only reason why. If that had not happened, she'd be like, "This drunk mess."
Because there's nothing, bad breath, bro. Usually doesn't.
I got
what's
some
the
gum.
deal,
I got
bro?
some gum, but it didn't.
Oh my god.
Oh, that's the girlfriend. It's time to wrap this bitch
Oh,
up, isn't it?
On the real though, we're like 220 already.
Really?
Yeah, dude.
Goes fast.
Goes fast. Yeah.
We'll
come
normally we
back.
wrk
We'll
it up at 2.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Lately,
Thank you, boys.
even an hour and a half, like we've been
Yeah.
kind of. But this was a great fucking conversation.
Damn,
This was
man.
awesome.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me,
2020.
guys.
Why do you think I've been trying to get you fucking...
Yeah, we'll get you back.
This is no different than what we do when we get done training. We go out to eat. We get done training at 1 o'clock and we're in salsa or fucking
Yeah, it's true, bro.
whatever till 5 o'clock because this is what we do.
It's true, man. Well, thank you very much. This is a blast, guys. Seriously,
awesome.
Thank you, man. I hope I didn't
Great.
bore your listeners or anything. But
Oh, shut the fuck up.
Dude, we educated so many fucking people, all 10 people that listen to this podcast. But yeah, no, they got some good information, and next time we'll talk about hooking up skills.
Oh shit.
So you're not a big social media guy anymore, so there's no way to follow them. But so if I'm an interested listener and I want to do jiu-jitsu with a black belt,
come get choked out by
do you-
Spain at.
Yeah, well, I guess I'll give you my Instagram. I gotta start doing this stuff, man. I gotta start making.
you know what? Let me give you a piece of advice right now. Your old Instagram that you haven't used forever, get rid of it. Create a new one that's just based for jiu-jitsu because you're missing out on a pretty good marketing tool and getting yourself out there. You have a good name in the jiu-jitsu community.
Yeah.
It'll be good for you.
Look at Team Steve.
Yeah, Steve came back and he's using it. Do that, man. Create a new Instagram that you use
Spain
for
chokes you?
for your jiu-jitsu. Yeah, Spain jitsu.
Oh shit! There you go. I don't know what I'm doing, jitsu.
Jiu-jitsu as a second language.
ESL jiu-jitsu. That was good. I might use that one, bro. Don't get mad if I use that one. That's a good one.
You should use it. I want you to use
That
it.
is awesome.
All right, so if
I
yeah,
might
man.
create that right now and just send you the password. Like it's already done.
So, all right,
Sorry.
if you're looking to get in touch with Spain, you want to do jiu-jitsu, you want to follow the guy, jiu-jitsu is a second language on Instagram. It'll be up before the end of the
I was about
night.
to say, yeah, when I get it up, maybe I'll come back and then I'll throw it up. Yeah.
No, it's going to happen. So that's where you follow Spain. Contact him for privates. He's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt under Chris and Alex Vamos.
Yes.
He trains at Vamos Jiu-Jitsu in Holbrook. It is 2107. No,
Damn it, it's on Church Street. It's on
400
Church Street.
432 Church Street
It's
in
on Church Street, yeah,
Bohemia.
Holbrook.
Something. Hold on. Let's ask the Google box. What is it?
What's it say?
Come on, Steve.
Come on, man.
You're fired.
This is bad. I should know this too. This is bad.
Loading.
Loading. Just says Holbrook.
Yeah, you fucked up, Steve. Go back a page where it had the address.
Stop.
1708. 1708. Church Street.
1708 Church Street, Holbrook.
There it is.
Okay, so find Spain there.
Or if you're closer to the Calverton location, you can go there too.
Well,
Like,
Spain's not there.
No, Spain's not there. But like, let's do the right thing. And
Let's do some marketing.
yeah.
I was trying to
Think
market
go to
Spain.
No, we can market Spain, but let's market it as a whole. And, obviously you want to go to the Holbrook location to get this handsome devil as your fucking jiu-jitsu instructor, but
Yeah, you're gonna want to do some jiu-jitsu with this guy. He's a black belt. He's a stud.
ladies, keep your panties on.
One of the best guys I've ever trained with. Great human being, as you can tell from this podcast. But honestly, when it comes to jiu-jitsu,
Wizard.
yeah, Spain's been one of my top training partners for a long time. I've said this to